Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the stream. It's a late night stream, 8 p.m. But we here. I'm here with Matt and Matt. Y'all know Matt. Thankfully, he put the G in his name, so we'll go by Matt G. And then
That's crazy. My last name starts with a G too. That's so crazy.
I was telling Matt about that in Discord. I was like, it's funny. I said his last name starts with a G, your last name starts with a G, and I must say it's very, very, very similar to me. So, anyways, let's get right into it. I want to recap last night's game. I'm glad we won, but I'm also not glad that Nate is still the head coach. My whole question is, are you all buying this whole thing with Nate, and do you think the front office is buying it? Matt,
who wants to take that? Oh, okay. I think I don't think they're buying it. I don't buy it. Especially when you went back and rewatched the game. I just felt a star player got hot. An all-star got hot. We know he's a great defender, and that's pretty much what it. Yeah, that's pretty much what it was to me. I didn't see any. Now you could give him credit for them going to a zone, but
which could have been Mike, but
yeah, that's really it. They went to a zone offensively. They did a couple of plays, I guess. Some cross screen stuff for DeAndre. They did a horn set for. They did a horn set for Murray, and then that's pretty much it. Like a lot of it, what I rewatched in this, especially the third quarter, what you saw was Murray had the ball, he was orchestrating an offense, but Trae Young was pointing out where to go with the ball. He was, hey, give it to Hunter over here, give it to Collins right there. He was pointing where he wanted Murray to throw the ball to, where he, So I know last night we was talking with Damon about and others about the contrast between Murray and Young. But I thought people gave Murray just a little bit too much credit as far as like he's a better point guard than Trae Young and all the stuff. And I'm like, when you go back and look at the game, that's not what I saw.
And I want to say this real quick, and I'm gonna let you hop in here, Matt with a G. Listen, it's in the title. People saying Trae Young. Don't be dumb. Don't be dumb. Like if you're saying Trae Young, let me go to the comment section here. Holiday, welcome to the stream, brother. He says after everyone don't have a couple good games out of 82, they act like yes, we play that all the time. Exactly. Like, don't be dumb. Talking about Trae Young. If you're saying Trae, you need your head examined. Okay, you literally need your head examined. You need to make sure. I need to make sure that this. I'm not gonna go that far, but you need to talk to God if you're talking about Trae Young over one game. So whoever says it, and quite frankly, I'll say it to anyone: you should be ashamed of yourself if you're talking about trading Trae. Anyways, Matt, go ahead. Matt G.
Yeah, I agree. I think DeJounte, he just went out there. I think that win was just basically the players. I don't think Nate really did much. You have to give him credit for the zone defense, but I don't think that was
scientists to realize you had to go zone against them.
Yeah,
and they can't shoot.
Yeah, but I think that was just DeJounte, taking over a game right there.
Yeah. It was clear.
I think analysts might have
I think he froze.
Okay. Yeah. I just thought it was. Murray's awesome. He was an all-star last year. He's a good player. That's what it was. He took over. He felt that the Knicks were kind of when the Hawks came back, he kind of felt that the Knicks were pressing, and he kind of took that to his advantage and took over. He was the alpha really on both teams last night. So, but I don't give Nate credit for that.
Yeah.
I thought he did a lot of things that enabled the lead to begin with. At the beginning of the game, they at the beginning of the game, the offense was very stagnant, very predictable. The pick and roll over and over again, like we've been seeing. Defensively, they did go to a matchup zone at the beginning of the game, but what? Okay, if you could go to a zone versus the Knicks, why can you go to a zone versus the Raptors?
Exactly.
You know, so Nate, to me, I mean, he got lucky because last night, they looked like I said, they looked lifeless. They looked uninterested. And yes, it's the last game of a road trip, but a team as talented as our team should not come out and look that way versus any team, but let alone the Knicks. So Nate, I told analysts last night, Nate needs to donate his, at the very least, his son's check over to Murray because he saved them from getting their stuff packed up and getting calling a moving truck.
Yeah. He would have been in the U-Haul. He would have had a U-Haul, Penske, whatever. He'd have been packing quick. He'd have been heading right back to North Carolina, retiring, hanging up his career. I don't know. Some other poverty franchise would probably gave him a 6-year deal, $20 million. But no. But I mean, listen. I don't know where you all were, but I was saying, like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that you have to go in zone when you have a team that can't shoot. Like if you're going against a team that can't shoot and they're getting real stuck on offense, yeah, go to a zone. It's not rocket science. Holiday says, I was the one that commented Trae don't really mean it because yesterday they was taken away from Trae Young, and without Trae, Murray wouldn't be here. Would be a lottery team. I agree. And listen, it's no big like. Here's why. And I hate calling people dumb, but it's really dumb to think Trae had a bad game. Like he was turning the ball over, so we need to turn. Like you realize this is something called having a second star. And when your second star steps up, you still win games. That doesn't mean you trade your first. Like this is like the Sixers. Embiid was not playing well the first few games. James was. You're gonna say trade Joel Embiid? Be logical and use your brain. But I get what you're saying, Holiday. And then he goes on. But he said about I don't want to trade Trae. Just want to make a point. Without him, we will be nothing. It's very true. Then he says, then they gotta stop overhyping Nate for sure and nitpicking with Trae because Murray had games where Trae had to carry him. And listen, I expect Murray to come in if Trae's having a down game. That's why we traded 3 first-round picks to go out and get Murray because we needed the second star next to Trae because it was shown during the Miami series all throughout last season that when teams take Trae out of it, it is very hard for us to score and find offense. And Murray just provided defense that turned into offense. Just simple as that. But so I was not happy. I thought we were going to lose again. I turned off the game, by the way. But I was still a Hawks fan because I still had on ESPN. I still had it up there. I was like, all right, we're coming back. Let me turn the game back on. And then I turned it back on. But listen, I was not expecting us to win last night after we got down by that much. But you can't forget who's the coach over there, Tom Thibodeau.
He might be worse than Nate.
Yeah, I don't.
They close. They're real close.
The only reason Tibbs is something because Tibbs is an expert at blowing leads. He's not as bad as Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers owns that title of blowing leads, but Tibbs is something else. I put some in Discord saying Tibbs will play Taj Gibson over Victor Wembanyama and say, well, he just got more experience than Victor right now, and Tibbs is that type of coach. But
Obi Toppin, prime example. He won't play him. And I can't figure out why. Like, he's good. I mean, yes, defensively,
Yeah, but it takes development.
Yeah. And no play. I mean, I guess no to me. No, that's what I was trying to express last night. Like, no really talented offensive player is going. You can't. Yes, in a perfect world, everybody would be two-way players, but you can't expect a super talented offensive player to play lockdown all NBA defense. It's just not going to happen, especially in today's NBA. It's not going to happen. You need to be a specialist.
Yeah, and Tibbs won't. Like, I guarantee you, if Tibbs is coaching Trae, like either Trae, like, like people think I was kidding. Knicks fans were actually concerned that Tibbs was going to kill Mitchell Robinson, like literally, like him dead because of how many minutes he was playing him. Like he runs all his players to the ground, and like we think Murray getting 39 minutes is a lot of minutes. Murray be playing 44, 45 minutes a game. And Tibbs be playing them on back-to-backs, and be like, well, got to keep conditioning, and, just got to keep. It's like, I don't know what Tibbs be drinking some nights, but it's like, no, a player's not going to play 46 minutes and come out on a back-to-back and drop 30 and play defense on the other end. It's like, be logical, But I will say this. I'm not buying the whole Nate thing. I think it's totally ridiculous if anyone buys the Nate thing. Now I want to talk a little bit about next game because we play the Pelicans next game. I believe this game is very significant. They're going to be a tough team. Ingram probably will play, and they're just going to be a full complete team, and they're going to be a handful to deal with. What do you all think about that game? And do you think that if we lose that game by an embarrassment, do you think Nate could be out?
I think. I think we could lose by a good amount, and Nate still wouldn't be gone. To be honest, I think it would take a few more than that. But I think we're going to play well. We play better at home, I feel like, and I feel like Trae's not going to keep struggling like he's been struggling. But
I agree in part. I think. I hope we win. I think honestly, it's not that bad of a matchup for us, because they really don't.
With Nate, I don't know. With Nate, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, with Nate, you never know. But if you look at the rosters, I don't think we're too. I don't think we're that dissimilar. It's just, it's going to come down to star players. It's going to come down to Murray and Young versus Zion and Ingram. I don't really count McCollum because he's really hit or miss. And you look at that game last night versus the Lakers, and I was looking at that game and I'm like, I'm not really. Oh, now they're an excellent defensive team, New Orleans, but offensively, I wasn't really blown away with them. So, I don't know. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think CJ has that get back instinct. So I expect him to come back next game, and he's probably gonna, I don't know who's gonna be guarding him, but I definitely do think that he's gonna come back. And he's gonna come back vengeance. I would put Murray on Ingram because of the wingspan. I think that's a solid matchup. Listen, I don't know if anyone's gonna stop Zion coming downhill. I mean, the year that we did play him, he just uprooted Capella every time he went down the lane on him. So I would give Hunter a shot on him. But if he's killing Hunter in the first half and CJ's hitting shots, I put Hunter on CJ and just let Zion kind of do whatever and just kind of contain the rest of them. But the thing that makes Ingram so dangerous is he's very, very similar to KD. Like when he gets in that mid range, he gets in that rhythm. Like it's hard to stop him. And then their role players come up big. So listen, the Pelicans are a tough team. I think we can win. I hope we win. But then again, it's like if I could see in hindsight and then say if you just lose this one game and we can fire and then they'll fire Nate, it's like, all right, I'll deal with the one game and then we'll move on from there. But I want to win this game. At this point, it's like I wish that it would have happened after the Toronto loss, because now it's like I'm looking and the standings are starting to not even out yet, but they're starting to kind of feel out it for itself. And now it's like I just want to win games, and it's like I don't know. It's like I unless we go on like a losing streak or get on to 500. right now, firing Nate is going to be a up and down thing, especially to justify.
For sure. And now if we would have lost that game last night, and we come back and lose that Pelicans game, and it's by a significant margin, and they just look lifeless like they did in the first half versus the Knicks, then I think, oh yeah, he's definitely gone. But the way it's going, like up, down, up, down, up, down, I think they're willing to ride it out a little bit longer to see, especially after last night, to see if that game kind of gives the team a catalyst to get going and to finally gel together as a unit. Now, the second unit, I'm concerned about that, and I know Bogey. We're all waiting for Bogey to get back, but at the same time, that might be Thanksgiving. It might be a little after Thanksgiving. So I just don't know if we could continue to wait that long for Bogey to come back. I would try to do something different than what we're doing with that second unit.
I think what you can do, and what I've heard is, listen, I don't think Travis Landry, they're not going to shy away. If they need to make a trade, then they're going to make it. If they get an offer that they can't turn down, they're going to make the trade. I think what you have to do is go out there and get an inexpensive shooter. Someone that if Nate hides him in the rotation, we're not going to scream about because of his money, or we're not going to scream about because he was a first-round pick, but someone that can come right in and give us shooting off. We need shooting. Now, we have AJ Griffin, but Nate's not going to give him consistent minutes. We need shooting off that bench because if you're going to keep running that same unit with Trae, it's Trae, Aaron, Justin, Jalen, and Onyeka. There's no shooting in that group. I think Jalen can be a shooter. I think Onyeka can develop, but we need shooting in that unit. And waiting until Bogey comes back, we're going to have a lot of struggles. So I would go out there, and I know you don't like him, Matt, but I would seriously consider going out there and using one of my trade exceptions to go out there and get Max Strus. I think he can come right in. I think you can stick him in. He's making cheap money. I think he's making like $1.8 million. Come right in and give us some scoring off the bench. He's averaging 15 points right now for Miami.
I don't know. Maybe Matt G has a different take. I don't know. But me personally, one, where does he play? And then two,
well, I think you just stick him right in. I think if you get a guy like Matt Strus, I think Nate is like, all right, I need to play this guy. I need to lessen Justin Holiday's minutes. We need someone that can come in and just shoot the ball and hit shots because that'll help the second unit a lot. Matthew, what's your assessment on Strus? Depending on the price. If they're talking about first round picks or 4, 5 second round picks, and I'm hanging up the phone. But what's your opinion on Strus?
Yeah, I remember last stream. I remember you guys talking about Frank for Strus, something around that line. Mm-hmm. And I'd be in favor of that right now. I think Strus is a great player. He's just, his shooting ability is something we have, but we don't have someone that Nate's going to play. We have AJ, obviously, but he's not going to play him. So I think that's a good guy we could go after, depending on the cost, like you said. Not something we should overpay, but if we can get him, if we get him, we have Bogey. That's really good shooting off the bench.
Yeah, and the reason I believe I've heard around, I've heard that Frank and Strus were kind of paired to be a swap for each other, only because Miami's looking for significant front court help. You need front court help when you're playing 42, 43-year-old Udonis Haslem with his hair looking like it's been bleached and faded and has holes in it and all that kind of stuff. So they need front court help, and Frank will certainly help them there, but we need shooting. I think our team is really good, but I think if you plug in a couple of cheap shooters on that bench who you come playoff time, who you can just plug in a game where it's kind of a slugfest and you just need someone to get a pop off for your team, I think Strus is that guy. I'm gonna have to look at some more people who can shoot that are that can fit within our trade exception. We have a $4.5 million trade exception. We have a $3.6 million trade exception. I believe we have a $1.9 million trade exception. Then we have like $900,000, but that's not going to get us any player. But any like if it's for the right player, I will use a first round pick and a trade exception to go out there and get a significant player. Only if Nate will play him. I think you see some of those guys around the league. Now, I would call, and I don't know. I'm still on the fence if I would do this, but I would give Phoenix a call again, and I would say, listen, Justin Holiday trade exception, and I would be willing to give up a fake first round pick to get Jay Crowder. So I would tease him like, all right, I'll give you 2023 top 23 protected or top 24 protected. And they'll just have to take the gamble that we're going to be good enough where it falls out of that. And then they get the late first round pick along with theirs. Maybe they package it and move up, but they're going to have to take the gamble. I'm not like, that's why I said fake first round pick. I'm not giving up a real first for Jay Crowder, but like something that can push the deal over the edge to where we get that deal. Now, quite frankly, you're going to mess up a lot of your it's real tough to do because, you know, we sent out our own 25, 27 first round picks that we own. So the protections can only go up to, I think, 2024 next year or the year after that. So it's tough. That's Travis's job and stuff, but that's what I would do. I'm gonna let you guys talk. I'm gonna go look for some more shooters that fit within that trade exception. What do you think about that, Matt?
I don't know. I don't know if I like Jay Crowder. I'm undecided. I mean, if this was 2 years ago, yeah, I'll be all for it. But he takes.
I'll be right back. Keep talking.
He takes a lot of shots. He's not very efficient. I know that Landry kind of talked about this over the summer that they kind of didn't want to load the team up with vets because they kind of didn't want Nate to be, use that as a crutch. They wanted him to play the young guys and allow Jalen and AJ hopefully to develop over time and still be competitive, which you can do because there's countless other teams around the league who play young players and still are highly competitive. Memphis plays like 3 or 4 rookies. I mean, not rookies, between 1 and second year players. Yeah. They play like 3 or 4 consistently in their rotation. And but we seem that we can only, it's so binary. Either we can only compete or we can't, or we're developing and we're in rebuild mode. So that would be my concern about getting somebody like Crowder is Jalen won't see the court again. AJ won't see the court again, and he'll just use these veteran lineups as a crutch and stuck on it. If he was more flexible with AJ and Justin Holiday combination now, that would give me more confidence as opposed to bringing in another veteran, and it's like it's going to be the same story.
Yeah, I agree. I think I like Jay, but at the same time, if we get him, AJ might not see the court the rest of the year. Jalen might see, garbage time minutes. But at the same time, if we can get Jay and replace his minutes with Justin Holiday, I think that improves us for sure. We have to do – the front office has to do, what they got to do to force Nate's hand at some point. But, I mean, I agree with what you said for the most part. It's going to hurt our development for our young guys off the bench.
Which listen, I'll say this. I know Matt is going to hate me after this, but I do think at one point you have to look and say, you know what? If an offer comes on the table where we have to include a guy like a Jalen Johnson, I think you have to look at it very seriously. Like if you can get a significant package back to where you're moving out a package with a Bogey and a Clint and a Jalen Johnson, you can get back a high caliber player that helps the team right now. I think you have to look at it because listen, let's be real here. All right. JJ is never going to develop right under Nate. Okay. That's not going to happen. All right, we got to get a better coach. We got to get a coach that can come right in and help develop us. Welcome to the stream, by the way, Snack. Ricardo only works along with good coaching. I agree with that because Nate is a terrible coach. He should be ashamed of himself for it. And, I think Jalen Johnson has huge potential, right? And if a team called right now and said, I'm not giving you any players back, what's going to cost pick-wise, I want 2 unprotected picks. I value Jalen Johnson that high, but it's the way it's looking now. It's like we're like at the trade deadline, we're gonna get phone calls. Indiana loves him. Toronto loves him. Like it's like if you get an opportunity to get a significant player back for him, I think you have to start to look at it. Especially if Nate's still here. Like Jalen Johnson is going to be giving us the same production because of Nate, because Nate doesn't use him right, because Nate doesn't develop him, because Nate doesn't give him the time. So it's like you're almost stuck in no man's land with Jalen Johnson. But I mean, I don't know. Matt, what do you think? Do you think Jalen Johnson is going to develop right under Nate?
Me?
Either one of you.
I mean, yeah, Jalen's not going to develop under Nate, but I think we have to look at the future. Like him under the right coach could be a very, very good player. So, I'd be hesitant to do that trade. But, if you have to make the deal, you have to make the deal. But, yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah. Before you hop in, Matt, I want to address Snacker real quick. He says, if Nate goes, who do you bring in this coach right now? I have 3 candidates right now who I would bring in right now. Matt and I have talked a lot about Jaron Collins. I've done my homework on him. I love him. I think he fit in well. Jaron Collins, Kenny Atkinson. I think if Kenny came here, I think we could win a championship. I really do. I think he was a great coach in Brooklyn, but look at what Brooklyn is now, right? They just suspended Kyrie. Like they're a mess. They're a mess. They need to blow it up, rebuild, get a whole bunch of draft picks. And listen, they hit on the draft well, and they drafted Jared Allen and all those guys, so they needed to just reset. And then Quinn Snyder. I think if you bring in Quinn, I think he takes you to another level. And I think when you look at his resume, his coaching style, it fits well with the way with the guys that we have. So I'm a fan of Quinn, Kenny, and Jaron. Well, what about you, Matt?
I like Jaron a lot.
And then after that, you can address the whole thing with do you think Jalen's going to develop under Nate?
So coaching. Okay. So I like Jaron Collins a lot. I think he is someone said to me, Udoka without the PR, right? So I really like that. I like the fact that he was under Steve Kerr for 5 years. He's been with Willie Green. He was with Ty Lue. He was a college scout. So he has an idea of how to scout players and put a roster together under Jerry West. So I like Jaron Collins a lot. Quentin Snyder's not bad. I do worry a little bit about the playoff record. And I worry a little bit about why can't the success translate to the playoffs? You had a lot of successful winning seasons in Utah. What is it, personnel? What's the problem? How come it doesn't translate to the playoffs? So that would be my hesitation with Snyder. I would those two really are at the top. You would love to get somebody like Brad Stevens, right? But that's never gonna happen.
Unless you say, Brad, let me pay you $25 million a year, and he'll say, all right, I'll leave the front office.
That's not gonna happen. I have to come back on the coaching candidate, but those two are really come top of mind. As far as JJ, I think he's really good. I just think he's being underutilized. You look at what his skill set is. You look at in college what his skill set was, and you look at the way we're using him. Complete opposite, right? He's supposed to be able to bring the ball down the court, orchestrate an offense. Even last night, he had a beautiful cross-court pass, skip pass that he had to Justin Holiday in the corner, who, of course, bricked the shot. But nevertheless, like that's why I would be hesitant to get rid of him as well. That 4-guard lineup that Nate goes to, why don't you just put Jalen in the game and allow him to do what he does best, which is orchestrate the offense, be able to take it off the bounce and be able to get downhill. And at the same time, you're creating foul trouble. You're giving the supposed shooter and Justin Holiday more space on the court. So Nate is not using him to his best ability. And I told you, analysts, the other day, kind of reminds, not saying he's the defender that Draymond is, but the same way Mark Jackson used Draymond versus the way Steve Kerr used Draymond. Total opposite. So Jalen is definitely a part of the long-term vision. Would not get rid of him at all.
Okay. Even if a team came to say with 2 unprotected?
I don't really.
Al Films, by the way, welcome to the stream. What's up?
I don't really view the draft with where we are. I don't really view the draft as I have the last few years.
Okay.
So I'm not really.
When I hear 2 unprotected picks, right? I'm thinking, all right, I get a guaranteed pick. I can move this pick. It's unprotected, and it has value. Any unprotected pick could get you a significant player back in return. So if a team came to me and said, all right, like if Masai Ujiri got on the phone and said, I'm offering you a 2023 and 2025 unprotected pick, I'm going to probably that's hard, but I'm gonna probably say yes to that. Take the 2 unprotected picks, and I'm gonna go out there and try to make another big splash. Now that's not a hit against Jalen. That's just getting good value back, right? For a player that I really feel bad for under Nate. But I want to say this before I lose my whole thought on this, right? 2 more shooters. One of these Nate would probably never play. Another one of these, he's a veteran, so I think Nate would play him 40 minutes. Number 1, a shooter from Washington, Corey Kispert. Y'all both said no. And Houston with Garrison Matthews. He's making $2 million, by the way. Both those guys will fit into the trade exception. Trade exceptions we have. Which is one, but go ahead.
I'll let you go, Matt G.
Corey, I don't know. I just don't think that will work. I mean, he's basically just AJ, just not quite as good at shooting, in my opinion. I mean, I just don't see him getting any minutes with Nate.
Yeah.
And you said Garrison Matthews. I mean, I wouldn't mind, if you could trade like exception or something for him. I wouldn't mind it. I mean, he's a great shooter, but I feel like there's other options out there that would work better for us.
Now, wait, Matt, before you say anything, actually, no, go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Kispert. I wasn't a fan of the draft. Yeah.
He's a first round pick, too.
Yeah, I know.
But that's Tommy Shepard. Yeah, that's Tommy Shepard.
Yeah, he's very, very, very well. I won't say he's awful. He seems to have a knack for a little average players to me. Tommy Shepard does. You look at the guy Rui Hachimura. You look at the guy. I mean,
Denny.
Yeah, so Denny, although he's a good defender, much better. And what's crazy is they thought his offense was going to be a staying power in the NBA, but it's really his defense, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kispert, no way. His one skill was supposed to be shooting, and is to me a mediocre shooter. And he's a terrible defender. So you're losing.
He's worse than AJ. I think.
So I will give the second unit credit because they're not going to score no points, but at the very least, they're not going to give up a lot of points. Mm-hmm. So I'll give them that. And I think you have to be cognizant of that with the player you bring in because you don't want to lose ground on that defensive footing that you have.
Yeah. So Out Films, he goes, that's how you pronounce the name. I don't know. He says, I wouldn't mind going after some of NOLA or New Orleans or Golden State young core. Golden State's probably a lot harder to get. Like Bob Myers is a pretty hardcore, hardball GM. Like if you're talking about, I don't know, but if you're talking about Moses Moody, you're gonna give up 2 or 3 first round picks to get Moody. I'm not doing that. As far as New Orleans, if I could pick whatever I wanted from that team, I would have a field day. I mean, I think look at Herb Jones, look at Trey Murphy. Hey, Matt G was a fan of Trey Murphy.
I wanted him so bad that draft. I wanted
coming
him
out
so
in the
bad.
draft, and I was like, "What are you talking about? This dude's not good." And then I looked at his highlights, and I was like,
I think he would fit perfect right now on this team. But knowing Nate, he probably wouldn't have developed. So it really wouldn't have mattered.
Nate,
you know what I saw? When I saw him, it's probably because they both went to Virginia. But I saw like a downgraded DeAndre, and I don't mean that as a slight to Murphy, but I just saw
I just saw his shooting and his defense, and I was
we just drafted this, so I'm like,
listen,
that was the Jalen Johnson draft, right? Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think if Jalen went to New Orleans, we could be talking about how we wish we would have got Jalen, if he would have developed. So
probably so. Oklahoma City has a lot of young talent that I would again love to pick from. Me, if I could get another pick this year, something I could package with my own pick. Like I'm really high on this year's draft. I watched film on pretty much every guy in this draft, first and second round. I love all these guys in this draft. I think the draft is very deep. I think it goes. I think you can get a legit pick that can come right in and help your team up to about 25 or 26. I think with the right coach, there's some bigs in this draft that I like. Khalil Ware, Derek Lively. Khalil Ware reminds me a lot of Jared Allen, and he's projected to go right outside the lottery. So that tells you how deep the draft is. Derek Lively, I think I'm sure you all have heard a little bit about Lively. I like him a lot. I think I think they're both great rim protectors. Both can handle the ball. Both can shoot. But knowing Travis, we're probably gonna draft another wing if we do stay in the draft. So I'm looking at like there's twins in this draft.
Oh yeah, the Thompson twins.
Yeah, the Thompson twins. I would not mind either one of them. Like they are explosive, versatile, aggressive. You look at a guy like Jordan Walsh, Derek Whitehead, Cam Whitmore. These are all guys that are projected to go in the lottery, but this draft is very, very deep.
I think the only issue with waiting for the draft is, first off, Nate's not. As far as if Nate's the coach, it's not going to matter. Second of all, I think we're at the point of our rebuild where we're trying to win, and I don't think, obviously you want young players, but I feel like you more want players that are going to come in and compete and be ready, contribute to winning right away. I don't think, obviously there's some rookies that can contribute, but I think we're a little too far in the rebuild to be relying on rookies. Obviously you want to be prepared, but I think I'd rather go out and get a veteran or someone like that that can contribute right away.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. What do you all think about this one? You're going to have a first round pick for this player. It'd be the Sacramento pick. What do you all think of Chris Duarte? I'm a fan of this
it was that was the 2020 draft, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of talk about trading Kevin Huerter and that pick to move up to get not Kevin Huerter, I'm sorry, Cam Reddish, and that pick to go up and get Duarte. Thank God they didn't do that. Okay. Because
I think you could have got more value out of that pick than getting Kevin Knox. Which I mean,
no. We didn't get Kevin Knox with that pick, did we? That was the Jalen draft, right?
No, we drafted. No, you're saying that you're thankful that we didn't trade Cam.
Right.
I said I said, well, I said that would have been better value than what we got back for Cam, which was Knox and a fake first round draft pick. Let's be real.
But that did help get Murray, so I'm not sure
It did.
Duarte would have got Murray. Duarte would have helped get Murray, but I don't know. His thing was he was supposed to be so pro ready because of his age, and he was supposed to be able to come straight in, and he was the hot name leading up into the draft, and it just didn't. It's never translated. Same thing with Aaron Naismith out of Vanderbilt. It just never, for whatever reason, it just never translated. Chris Duarte, I don't know. He's a weak defender, right? And then offensively, he just, from what the games I've watched, they talk about his confidence. And that's, to me, concerning. When you talk about a second, third year guy lacking confidence, that's, to me, like, that's something I don't want to mess with, you know. If you got to tame the guy in, bring him in, reel him in because he takes too many shots or he's too aggressive, that's one thing. But if, you know, you got to, same thing with, I don't know how much you guys watched the Pistons, the Detroit Pistons, but, you know, Killian Hayes came from that draft as well. And that's what they're applauding him when he takes a jump shot. I mean, it's like it's bad, and it's like
turned out to be
this dude was a lottery, you know. Like
he's
what are you talking about?
Top 7, right?
Yeah. Why are you applauding him when he not make a shot, take a shot? That's concerning.
He was a disaster. That was one of the picks that Troy Weaver, I know he regrets making that pick. I'm glad we had a logical front office and drafted on Yeka because we could have drafted Killian Hayes, and that would have been just an awful disaster. I'm looking. You draft Killian Hayes over Obi Toppin, Tyrese Halliburton, Devin Vassell, which I'm really high on Vassell. I love Halliburton. Yeah. And then here's where it kind of thins out, right? Not thins out, but like Celtics draft Neesmith. Kira Lewis Jr., who suffered with injuries, goes to the Pelicans.
I like him though.
I was high on Lewis, but he just hasn't got it together.
Cole Anthony, Josh Green is a disgraceful pick. You draft him over Sadiq Bey.
I would say Josh Green. I thought he was gonna be a lot better than what he was. I mean, supreme athlete, could shoot it really well. I thought he was gonna be a player.
Yeah, but I mean, look at the Heat draft Precious Achiuwa. That was the same draft Maxey came out. I don't think Maxey is what he is if that don't happen with Ben Simmons. Like, I don't know if he has a breakout season yet. I think the potential is always there, but I don't think he breaks out just yet if he didn't have to start for Ben. You know, if that type of stuff didn't happen. I'm going to touch on this a little bit because the Spurs have some interesting young talent. They lost a player who I'm really high on, but I'm not touching him. I was texting Matt. I was like, you know what? We can forget about his whole situation with him doing whatever he was doing in front of the staff. We can bring him in, a minimum deal and give him another chance. Travis and get him right. Looking more into this, no.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't do that.
You can't, but I really liked him as a player, but you just can't touch him.
But Brian Wright, he's such a I'm not going to say that, but he knew what he was doing this past year when he drafted 2 guards with his 2 out of 3 of his picks in the first round. I'm sitting here clueless on, like, I'm happy we got H.R. Griffin, right? I'm looking at other teams. And I'm like, why would you draft 2 more guards? And I'm like, you could have drafted Jalen Duren. You could have got Christian Koloko, which Christian Koloko fell out of the first round, which was shocking. You could have drafted Walker Kessler. San Antonio needed the big, right? Come to find out, I figure out that he drafted insurance because he knew this whole thing with Josh Primo was going to fall apart. He knew he was trading Murray. It's like, and he didn't even get really like standout guards. But I do think that if you go after like a Malachi Branham or Blake Wesley,
well, I do like Malachi Branham. I mean, I like AJ. He's I knew he was going to be a good shooter, but
Matt, you were heated. Matt was
really
heated
like.
when Matt was heated. I was out of town, which I was hoping that AJ Feld was. I was expecting AJ to go lottery. But I turn on Damon's stream and I see Matt out there telling myself, "You're always drafting wings, and that's wings that's hurt." And I was like, dude, does this dude not realize that we just got a lottery talent? And
Yeah, I still rather have Jalen Williams, which we all know that's what they wanted, but they,
yeah.
I don't know. Somebody got some bad information, got some bad intel on that, but they were expecting him to fall and he didn't, and he's playing really well right now.
Well, look who drafted him, Sam Presti.
Yeah.
That guy.
And you look at that player. That's why, to go back to your comment a minute ago about the draft, I think they're going to try to go after more experienced players. He was a 4-year or 3-year player, redshirt. So I think they are going to try to go after older players, seniors in the draft. You saw that with Tyrese Martin. By the way, they just re-signed him to the G League. At this point, you might as well re-sign AJ to the G League roster as well. I mean, the scrap garbage minutes he's getting is not really helping his development. And yet you throw Justin Holiday out there for 20 plus minutes a game. It's crazy. So I will be a little weary of the draft going forward, only if I'm going to get like a specialist. This guy's an excellent rebounder. This guy's an excellent shooter. This guy's if I'm getting specialists, that's fine. But I'm not picking no more. I'm not picking any more like broadly talented guys that have to be developed and brought along because
and listen, I think once Nate is gone, whether it's soon or this offseason, I think we can really look at key development for our guys. But a guy that I was like, if it wasn't AJ, a guy that I wanted to fall, honestly, truth be told, I didn't watch a lot of film on Jalen Williams.
I wanted Williams talent as well. He looks good.
He does remind me a lot of James Harden. Not ball hog per se, but just his style.
Much better shooter.
Much better shooter. I think OKC got a steal there, and they slept and got Ousmane Deng as well, which I like. Deng, big wing, just versatile. But another guy that I wanted was Ochai Agbaji, but Cleveland. I know Cleveland thought he was going in the top 10. I'm like, you're crazy for that, but I understand because Ochai coming out of college, that man was he was something else. He got traded to Utah, but him, and then I was super high on Dyson Daniels, even though he missed the 2 free throws last night to win the game. I was pretty high on Dyson Daniels, just looking at him as a defender. And then, wasn't too high on Johnny Davis because I was thinking with the mindset as we were going to move up in the draft. I was waiting for that, notification that, hey, we're moving up. And I was thinking about, mainly I was thinking about guys like Ochai. See, I didn't watch any film on Jalen Williams. I heard we were going after Jalen Williams, but I heard that Oklahoma City was getting him with their pick, and they weren't going to trade their pick. The Knicks, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to trash the Knicks for just a few seconds. The Knicks have to be one of the dumbest franchises in NBA history. How do you have a lottery pick and you come out of the draft without drafting anyone in the lottery? Like, you could have had a really good talent in this draft. That was ridiculous. That was ridiculous. But I was kind of happy. I was happy when they drafted Duren. I was hoping that they would trade him, but they traded him. So I was hoping the Knicks came out of that draft with nothing, and they did. And that's just classic Knicks. But this draft was really, really good. I was a fan of Jeremy Sohan. I think he's versatile. But I knew that Sohan had a lot of questions, especially with his size, his ability to be physical. And then Shaedon Sharpe, that was the biggest question. It was he hadn't played in high school. I mean, and then in college, but it was this kid is talented. Benedict Mathurin. I heard that the Pacers thought he was going to go in the top 4. But the Pacers were so happy when they fell to him. Then obviously I think Keegan Murray is a talented player, but I disagree with them taking him over Jaden Ivey personally.
I don't mind it. I mean, I think it fits better, but the Kings, I think Keegan's a pretty good player, but I think Ivy will be better long term, but I think he fits their team a little better. They just traded Tyrese Halliburton. Doesn't seem like they want another young guard, but I liked it.
Yeah.
I was high on Shaden Sharp as well. I thought when there was, the trade rumors that we might move up, that was the guy that I was looking at for sure.
Shaden Sharp is to me, like he's like if I get Shaden Sharp in a trade right now, I'm gonna do it. I'll give up an unprotected pick. Like looking at his game now, it's like, yeah, he's good. Because I couldn't find much film on him other than like those few like highlights or whatever. Because like I said, he didn't play college. But he's a really nice talent. But it's like there's one moment where it's like I don't really care about the draft. Go out, move your picks, and get good players. But then it's like when you start looking at the draft, you start looking at these players. It's like this kid can be something. And he could be on our team. Like it's like why not get one of those players to blend with the rest of your core.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Yeah, Matt. So why aren't you high on this draft?
No. I haven't studied it yet because I'm like, when I start looking at the draft, getting the process, I like, I take notes and I really get involved with it. So I'm like, I don't really where we are, as Matt G said a minute ago, where we are in our stage. I just don't. I'm not as especially with Nate, but even still, notwithstanding Nate, I just don't think a pick is going to come in and play significant minutes. So I will when if we get into conference play, I'll look at it more closely. But I just don't really, unless you're getting a specialist, like I said, this guy's an excellent rebounder, this guy's a defender, this guy's a passer. If you're getting specialists, that's cool. But if you're trying to take somebody like a Jalen Johnson and form so many different skills at one time, it's not going to work where we are. So, like for instance, like if a Max Christie, right, somebody like that was available in this coming draft. Okay, yeah, he works. He's a shooter. He's 6'7". He's a good defender. Okay, yeah, we could use somebody like that. But lottery type players.
Keep talking now.
Lottery type players, I don't think where we are is going to be productive for us.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it obviously depends on the player, like you said. If there's a player that can like a guy like AJ Griffin, who I thought he's a really elite shooter, so he should be able to come in right away, produce. But like we've been saying this whole time with Nate, it just doesn't work. But I think AJ was the right pick. I think future drafts, we'll see how it goes. I don't expect any the next couple years of any of these drafts that the players are going to make an impact on this team, to be honest. But I think we have the core group. We just have to, find the right pieces around them.
Exactly. And also, when you talk about the draft, maybe because of where we are financially, and we're going into the tax next year. I mean, they, like I said, told analysts they can't avoid it because they're in the tax already with only 6 players under contract or 7. So they're going into the tax. So maybe you want to use the draft as kind of like a filler. So you get guys so you're not deep into the tax. But I don't really see it being useful outside of specialists. AJ, I was mad the night that we drafted him. It's not because I didn't think he was a good shooter, but I thought that's all he really was a shooter. And I'm like, this is obviously before Murray. So I'm thinking, okay, you need a Murray type of player to fit next to Trae. And AJ doesn't do that. If obviously I didn't have the hindsight of the trade, but if I did, I was like, okay, I could see he could kind of fill in some Herder minutes and give a shooting without Bogdanovich. But Nate doesn't even allow him to do that. So that's why I'm like, okay, I'm worried about getting a specialist because Nate doesn't even play the specialist that we just drafted.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like, what's the point? And from my understanding, this draft is heavy in wings, and guards, so shooting guards and small forwards. So I think they're going to draft a shooting guard next draft, just because when you look at the roster, that's kind of the spot that's missing long term. But I don't know. I'll think more broadly about the draft, more open to it when Nate is no longer here. But
yeah, it's hard to get excited about. Like, I haven't been since probably the Kongwu draft, and even then he didn't get much playing time his rookie year. But that's the last draft where I kind of was excited about the player coming in. Like, I love Jalen and AJ, but I kind of knew they weren't going to get any chance to play. So
exactly. Unfortunate. And that's what happened.
Rashad came in the chat and said, Trae Young.
He's a funny guy. Yeah. When you look at, like I said, the Knicks, right, with Obi Toppin, like, it's detrimental for a lot of different reasons. Probably the biggest is just financially. You're gonna have to pay Obi Toppin. You're gonna have to pay Jalen Johnson. You're gonna have to pay Onyeka Okongwu. So why are you burying them on the bench and you can't make a real assessment or evaluation? And then you're gonna have to pay him. Like, they picked up Jalen's option for next year. I thought he was a good player, but what if he couldn't play at all? What if he was just awful? You're now committed to him for another year financially, which makes him harder to trade.
Who did you say that was? For the
Jalen Johnson.
Oh yeah.
So I'm happy they picked it up, but I knew he could play. But I'm just saying, if he couldn't play, we already picked up his option for next year. But Nate buried him on the bench his whole rookie season. So as we get further down the line on the financial side, it doesn't even make sense business wise to bury these guys on the bench. So Nate is just God bless him, but as a human being, but coaching wise, he's just
he's disgraceful.
He's just awful.
Yeah, he's
just awful.
He's someone that I can talk about all day long. And listen, Nate is something else. I agree with JR. He's not in the chat, but I'm going to say a quote that I've been standing by with him since last year. Some people may not like it, but I certainly stand by it. Listen, since last year, me and JR had this joke where JR went, "Man, we need a white coach." I agree. I mean, this culture adapting stuff is not working with Trae Young. Like, he's running over he's mowing down all these coaches. And not to say Nate's a coach killer, because he's not. And not Trae. Trae's a coach killer because he's not. But like, Nate doesn't even deserve respect on the court. Like, he's that bad of a coach. And people can say, "Well, look at his resume. He's a good coach. We won 48 games and took us to the Eastern Conference Finals." Yeah, under Lloyd Pierce's system, and you get your system and we're first round exit. It's like, that tells you what type of coach you are. Like, it's just disgraceful. But Matt, hopefully we can move on from Nate very, very soon. But at this point in the game, I want to get wins. I want to be 6-3 starting Saturday, and but hey, if we let Nate go in the midst of that, then I'm all for it. Do I think it's going to happen? No, because that's going to be, again, very hard to justify.
Yeah, and then you look at Cleveland, right? Now, personally, I think they're a little overachieving. I don't think
Cleveland's looking good.
I don't think they're as good as what their record indicates. But
they beat Austin
nevertheless,
twice.
yeah,
They beat
they beat
twice.
Boston although I do think the Mizzulu, I think a little bit of his inexperience is showing, especially last night. That play that the game-winning attempt from Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown. That was an awful play. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know. I just feel like Cleveland. We played them coming up, but I think Cleveland, once they start to get into the heart of their schedule, they're going to start to falter a little bit. I don't think defensively they're great on a perimeter. That's something that we could, take advantage of. But with Cleveland, they got JB Bickerstaff, who's not a great coach at all, who's very mediocre. But even Cleveland,
he just stands and sweats a lot.
It looks like at the very least he's showing a willingness to get better. He hired Luke Walton over the summer. He hired an offensive assistant from college. They do run a little bit of offensive sets more than we do, and it's a little discouraging, to be honest, when you look at his trajectory and how he's willing, or at the very least, willing to get better and grow. And Nate is staying stagnant, and he's not.
Hired no good assistant coaches over the summer where you could say, all right, we're adding to our staff, like Mike D'Antoni's, the Frank Vogel's for defense,
and I like Joe Prunty, but
I like Joe Prunty. I'm a fan of Joe.
I don't think he allows Joe Prunty to do everything Joe Prunty wants to do.
This is a Joe Prunty that made the playoffs with Milwaukee, so I'm a fan of Joe.
The guy said it, and then I'll let Matt G go. The guy said it last night on Twitter. Glenn Willis, who I follow, is a contributor to Preachy Hoops. He said there's solution-orientated coaches and there's reactionary-orientated coaches, and Nate is definitely reactionary. His solution to things not working is do the simple things better, set better screens, throw a better bounce pass, play harder. There's nothing upstairs going on. It's just all emotion.
Yeah, and by the way, I just looked at the last play. That play was awful.
He just checked up a mid-range.
I don't know who drew that up with Tatum standing at half court, and that was disgraceful. Like,
Chris Finch from Minnesota, he draws up beautiful out of timeout plays, especially that one in the playoffs last year to Anthony Edwards. But where he come from? Nick Nurse, so.
And then listen, I miss our Bud used to have an out of bounds play for every scenario. I miss that. With Nate, you'll just see him standing there with his arms folded and just
throw it up to Capella or whatever. Yep. Whoever.
Oh, this one I have to ask Matt G. Okay, see, I had the analyst was there last night. We had very strong disagreement about the game last night. When I went back and rewatched it, I stand firm on what I said last night. Did you see offensively them make progressions and them have more offensive sets, more movement on offense?
No, I'm not gonna lie. There was a stretch where I didn't watch the game because I was too upset when we were down about 20. As far as
I turned it off too. So
I said I wasn't gonna watch it until Nate's fired, but I came back. But in the second half, I mean, I don't know if I can say that there was a lot more movement. It was just, I feel like it was just DeJounte taking over and making shots. I mean, I can't say I saw a lot more movement, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I didn't. I saw I'll take that back. In the first quarter, and I pointed this out in the group thing, they did run a cross screen for Hunter, but to Nate and others, to them, a lot of creativity and movement is a horn set inside of a pick and roll. To me, that is just that's like bare minimum to move the guys around so they're not standing stationary.
Yeah, it's literally just
movement,
pick and roll, or set an off ball screen for Hunter, come off it, get the ball, shoot a mid range shot. It's not a lot of anything else that I saw. we were just making more shots, yes, in the second half, so it looked better. But
right.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, listen, Nate. Matt, I was right there with you when you said I'm not watching. I'm not watching.
I was set on that too. I was not going to watch it, but I checked the score. It was an 8-point game. I'm like, all right, we got a shot.
Yeah, listen, had we lost like that yesterday, you'd have been watching the Pelicans game because Nate would have been gone. Had we lost like that.
I was watching it. I was like, I wonder one of these timeouts is Resler or Travis going to come down in a timeout and be like, you can pack your stuff and go.
Yeah, you're fired.
During the timeout, at halftime they come out. Nate is sick and he can't return for the rest. He can't return for the rest of the game.
Nate threw up in the back.
Right.
And,
I mean, yeah. As much as I was upset, at the same time, I was like, if this stays this way, maybe he's gone, and maybe Saturday we have a new coach. But we won, and we just got hopefully we can keep winning. But at this point, it's not worth. I mean, we'd have to start losing right away for it to be worth to get a new coach. But if we just keep winning, it's just not going to happen this year.
Yeah, which at this point in the game, I do care a little bit more. I care a lot more about winning. I want to win. But listen, again, in hindsight, if you tell me that we can lose the Pelicans game and Nate be gone, hey, lose Pelicans game.
The best of a bad situation. That's really what it is.
Rashad, wait. I'm sorry, Matt. Rashad. It doesn't matter how long he's been the coach. All right. It doesn't matter how. Trae just got his contract. All right. So I mean, it goes both ways. Nate is a terrible, disgraceful coach, and he stands there and he doesn't do anything.
I don't know if he's like the worst coach ever.
Yeah.
He's all right. He's all right.
He's mediocre. He's a C. I told you, analyst. He's a C student. He gets some A's sometimes, but he gets a lot of D's and F's too. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a C.
Listen. Nate, if you're watching, I heard you're a great person. I heard you're Christian. Love you for that. But you are a disgraceful coach. All right. Just what I would tell him that. In front of his face. Now, he's a little big.
Okay. Rashad is saying Trae's a mediocre point guard. All right.
If I didn't know Rashad would have been hidden from the channel. Rashad, and he's not trolling either, but
he's not. You think he's being serious?
He's being serious. He doesn't like Trae. He wants to trade Trae. He wants to trade. I don't know if people don't understand. He slows the game down, only plays one way. Maybe if you're coach of the year, the one who you said hadn't even been our coach for 2 years, would run plays, and maybe if he would, tell him, because listen, be honest, what plays did Murray run yesterday?
I didn't see any.
Hit some shots. That's all he did.
So you say he said I am absolutely
serious. Who would Rashad want to trade Trae for? Like, what would he want to get in return?
Rashad would probably trade Trae for a protected first-round pick and probably Tim Hardaway Jr. Something like that.
No cap.
Like how
should bring him on you.
To me, Rashad, I have a lot of respect for Rashad, but that's disgraceful. That's disgraceful.
I think a lot of people are getting too caught up in yesterday. Like I said, when I went back and rewatched it, I'm like, hold on a minute now, because I could have sworn people said that Trae was not in the game during the comeback. He most certainly was in the game, and he
was in the game when it started.
Yeah, he almost certainly did all the scoring. He scored 10 points in 3 minutes, the last 3 minutes of the second quarter. So I'm like, I don't know what people are talking about. We came back because Trae wasn't in the game, so we didn't have to worry about him on defense. And I'm like, well, maybe I must have missed that part or something. I didn't see that part. But when I went back and looked at it, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, he would trade him for a pack of Skittles.
There's a difference between and Matt, I want to ask you about this. Yesterday, I was telling people, like, you can't judge Trae and Murray the same way. Huh?
Read the comments. He says not true. What you said.
Which Matt is he talking about?
Probably talking about Max, the Matt on top. None Matt. You know what? Why do you have to
go
have
back.
the
What
same
game
name?
did you watch? Go back and look at the game. He played the
last
latter
4
half,
minutes.
The
It was a
latter half
20
of the second.
It was a 23-point game.
Murray got hot and brought us back. Rashad.
That's true. That's true. But
okay, so that's fine. We traded. What did we trade What did we trade 3 first-round picks for? For him not to do that, it's called having a second star.
But,
all right, I use this analogy. I'm sorry, Matt. I got to say this. I used this analogy earlier in the show. When the season started and Embiid was not playing well, Harden was there. It's called having a second star. When your star doesn't have to show up every night. We didn't trade 2 unprotected first, a swap, and all this other stuff just to get back a player. Oh, well, Trae's still supposed to be better than him. It's like, be for real. And it's like you can say Murray over Trae. I didn't hear you saying anything when Murray was having those horrible games from shooting and Trae was up here putting up 40 points and 13 assists. I didn't see you saying that then. You got to be consistent with it. So, I mean, unless you're consistent with the Trae Young hate. But that
was my point.
Go ahead, Matt.
So, Matt G, what I was saying last night was people, to me, they look at stuff in a vacuum sometimes. Okay, you can't compare Trae and Murray the way that they orchestrate the way that they orchestrate the team in the way that they play, right? Because Trae's a pure scorer, a natural born scorer. So when he's running that pick and roll or he's coming off that curl, he's looking first to score and second to pass. Murray is different. He's not as talented offensively as Trae. So when he's coming off that screen or he's running that pick and roll, he's looking to pass first and then score. It's 2 completely different mindsets. So it looks, I guess, more under control with Murray, but it's because he's not the same level of scorer that Trae Young is. So it's a completely different perspective that they have with the ball.
They're just different players, which is good. That's what we don't want, the same player, on the same team, to be honest. We want, different players. And I mean, DeJounte, I'm not, we're not going to lie. He was better than Trae yesterday. But
for sure,
what about the first 6 games? What about the game in Milwaukee? If we didn't have Trae that game, we would have lost by 40. So you got to look at both. We'll see if he can come on here.
Here's Rashad, a.k.a. Clint Capella, a.k.a. Nate McMillan, a.k.a. wants to trade Trae Young for Marcus Smart. Welcome, Rashad, everyone.
No. I'm sure there's a lot of us out there.
Oh, no. Hey, Rashad. So give us your glorious trade package for Trae Young. What you want back for Trae?
Okay. So first, let me say this. I was a big Trae fan, and analysts, you especially know this. I was a big Trae fan up until the postseason last year. Okay. And I'll tell you why I switched. Mm-hmm. Trae Young can only play. Hello, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I put some earbuds on. I guess that ain't work. Trae Young can only play one way, and that is high pick and roll, the D'Antoni system to a T. He is great at it because he plays high pick and roll, and he knows his reads, his corner reads, his vertical reads. If not, he'll dribble out and he'll ice up. Trae Young only plays one way, and that's why Miami was so could easily stop him. Now to Matt's point, hold on. Now to Matt's point, when Murray was struggling, what was really going on in those games? Trae was shooting a ton. The only reason Trae stopped shooting last night because he was 2 for 12 in the first quarter. The games that Trae has scored over 25 points this year, we have lost. It's the way that he plays. Hello?
What about the 2 Detroit games when he had 36 apiece those games and we won both?
Oh yeah, no, he didn't have 36 both games. He had 36-1.
No, he had.
I think he had like 27 this thing. I don't remember though.
Or maybe 31 36.
I thought he shot poorly the first game.
I don't think so. I could
That's
be wrong,
Detroit.
but I thought he had 30.
I'll
That's
search it up real
Detroit.
quick.
That's Detroit.
The first game
Yeah,
he had
versus-
35 and 6. The
Okay.
second game
He had more.
he had 36 and 12.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So I'm wrong. It was Detroit though. I'm mad about that Milwaukee game. What did he have against Charlotte? Because then he had 30.
He didn't do good that game, I don't think.
I thought he dropped like 30 that game.
No one really did get. He had 28, 9, and 5. So.
Yeah. So
Right
we're
around
2-2 when Trae scores 25 or more.
Okay.
When Murray scores, when Murray scores 25 or more, look at our record.
Well, that's because he's our second guy. I mean, if your second guy is scoring more, I feel like.
And that's why I think you have a guy like Murray for when Trae's not going to have a good game every game. I do agree that we got to find more ways to get him effective when he's not shooting the ball well. And I said this last night. I do wish that he would realize that he don't have it quicker than him having to go 2 for 12. But I feel like that's the reason you got Murray is because you found out last season that in the playoffs when Miami went to pretty much they pretty much threw every guy they had on him. And you had to go out and get another guy that could be a threat. And that's what Murray is. And we see that. So I'm not going to down.
But Murray's only had two games where he scored over 25 points, by the way.
And what's our record in those games?
It's 2-0, but it's such a small sample size. But one of those games was the Detroit game that you don't count.
What's the Trae game today? The game against Detroit?
Yeah.
So that's why we won.
Well, Trae also had 35 that game.
No, Trae didn't have over 25. Murray did.
No, they both did that second Detroit game.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's when we blew him out.
Most of Murray points came in that game when we were already up by 12, 15 points thanks to Trae.
Because Trae was hot dogging. Trae was hot dogging. No, Trae Young, I was a pro Trae Young even before the draft. I wanted him over Luka. I thought he was the perfect fit for today's NBA. The guy will not play within a system, and that is going to, and he's not good enough to carry a team the level a LeBron or Kobe or Luka or Giannis is. So he has to learn how to play within the scheme of the offense, like Steph Curry, and allow his talent, the talent around him, to thrive. That's the only way we're going to win. I don't think he's going to get it.
We got to start off with getting an offense first. We got to get an offense instead of pick and roll.
Exactly.
Because you said that he plays one way through high pick and roll. But when you have a coach that runs pick and roll, and now he just implemented this horn stuff that he calls creative, that's all you're going to see from him. Because think about it, it's not very fair, because when Trae's on the court, he's on the court with a pick and roll partner. Onyeka is not really a pick and roll type player, or they don't run him through the pick and roll. Trae is out there with Capella. Okay. Yeah. Murray is usually out there with Onyeka or someone of that instance. So you're not seeing him through the pick and roll. But I guarantee you, if you ran Murray through the pick and roll, the same volume that you run Trae through the pick and roll, you're gonna see Murray, when that pick and roll don't work, you're gonna see Murray take a lot of those shots where a lot of those shots are gonna end up coming up short. From the mid-range, so he's gonna have to force something too. So I don't think it's fair to judge Trae in that manner, as in saying he plays one way when that's our system to play.
So I think you contradicted yourself though, because if the offense runs one way with Murray, but with Trae it runs a pick and roll. Don't that sound like they run that offense because of Trae and not because of the system?
No, I said that because Trae is I don't think it's that way, because I think it has a lot more to do with the rotations that's on the court. Again, Capella is on the court with Trae majority of the time. And Capella and Trae are pick and roll partners. And without without Trae on the court with Capella or someone who can lob it to him, he's not going to do much on offense. So I think that's why you see that a lot. But like with Murray, again, like I said, if you put Murray on the court and you run him through pick and roll 85 to 90% of the game, you're going to see a lot of shots that should not be shot.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I also say that they play two completely different ways. So Trae, to me, he plays in the pick and roll because that's all we really have. Murray doesn't play in the pick and roll as much as Trae because he doesn't have a floater. So
he's not a pick and roll guard.
But I'm saying he's not going. That's exactly. So he doesn't have moves in the pick and roll, or he can't get a shot off in the pick and roll. He's more mid-range than Trae, so it's going to look different. One, two, the offense to me is very similar with Trae. I mean, with Murray and Trae both in the game. The biggest difference is when Trae's not in the game, Murray is more ISO than with Trae. So they space out the floor. They allow him to go one-on-one and shoot that mid-range shot that he does, or they'll be creative and they'll have him rolling off of a horn set to catch the ball in the mid-range to shoot the mid-range shot. That's really all that's the biggest difference. You see Trae, he's handling the ball in the pick and roll. Murray is running the same pick and roll. They just shoot different shots. That's really it.
So next time y'all watch the Hawks game, or go back and watch the last one, watch the shot clock. Watch the tempo that Murray gets into the sets, gets into an action, and creates our first, second, and third shot, versus when Trae has the ball and Trae gets into his sets and creates a shot for an assist or a shot for himself. Because one of the reasons I like Scotty Brooks for us, because Scotty Brooks runs the offense, calls it it's like an 8 seconds or less shot offense, to where you are looking to get your shot up within 8 seconds, your first attempt, your first clean look. Trae plays at a pace that allows the defense to set, and he tries to strategize and pick them apart. If you watch Murray, that's why when the ball is in Murray's hand, John Collins can get 10 plus shots. Hunter typically averages 20 plus points when Murray is the primary ball handler, because he gets into the sets early and he allows us to progress through our first, second, third, and fourth option. That way the ball moves. Trae stands there, he dribbles, calls for a screen, and then if the lob is not there or the corner's not open, he throws up some bullshit shot. That's the way he plays. That's going to kill us.
Matt G, what do you think about that? I have a lot of rebuttals. Go ahead. I want to hear what Matt G thinks about that.
I mean, I'm not really sure if we're seeing the same thing on the court. I mean, I see your point. I agree. We shouldn't have the same pick and roll over and over and over again. But I don't think that can be blamed on Trae necessarily, because I would assume he's running what Coach Nate wants to run, right?
That's where I blame Nate.
And
or Coach Nate is running what Trae wants to run.
That could be the case. That we still need a new coach.
If that's the case, that means because
we need a new coach.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Matt, but
no, you're good.
I wanted to say because even if we're gonna run with the point guard is an extension of the coach out on the court. Okay, that's fine. What I'm saying is that the coach always wants to run pick and roll with Trae out there, which is disgraceful. Because I look at a lot of similar guards to Trae Young. To me, Lillard plays the same way, except he's just more efficient at shooting the three. Okay, and I'm watching how Chauncey Billups is being very creative with Damian Lillard. Yes, there are going to be plays where they're going to be ISO, and they're going to take certain shots that maybe you don't like it, or maybe it goes in and you just look past it. But at the same time, it's like if we had a coach that was creative on offense, that could get more action and more movement with Trae, I think you'll see something totally different. And when Trae doesn't have it on offense, I said it goes both ways. So Trae has to look to get better, but also having a coach that says, all right, Trae, you're not shooting well. If we're going to have you on the court, I believe in you because you are a star. All right. Let's run you off some different actions. Let's make you a cutter today. All right. Let's make you that guy that runs backdoor on the sleeping big, who like Capella was when he was ball watching and Holiday cut right behind him. Let's make you that guy. All right. Let's switch it up a little bit. Let's be unpredictable. And that's where we're calling for Nate to do something different because we're predictable. And like the problems that you have with Trae are the problems that we have with Nate, because Trae is the player, Nate is but Nate is still the coach. And I don't see how, even if you say, well, Trae still does whatever he wants within whatever Nate does, I'm seeing pick and roll. I'm seeing pick and roll with him out there.
Well, we agree on one thing. We obviously agree on the problem. We just don't agree on who's the
How to
problem.
solve it.
Yeah,
and
We don't agree on who's the problem.
I'll say this
funny.
for I'll say this: when you watch to me, when you look at them, it's like Travis sat Nate down and said, he went over his draft notes and said, Trae Young operates in the 98th percentile in the pick and roll if you're using synergy, right? Genius level IQ in the pick and roll. DeAndre Hunter is a 94% in the pick and roll. John Collins is 96% in the pick and roll. So, which, by the way, all those numbers are true. If you go back and look at their sports synergy numbers in the pick and roll, it's like that's what somebody told Nate and said, oh, okay, Trae's a genius in the pick and roll based on the numbers. Hunter's good in the pick and roll. Collins is good in the pick and roll. So that's what I'm going to run, the pick and roll. So I don't have to coach. I don't have to be creative. I don't have to be innovative. I don't have to do my job. I could just stand there and make suggestions as opposed to where the ball should go here or there. Not really a lot of in-game adjustments. Not really any in-game. Where he's seeing something on the court and then in the moment can dissect it and tell Trae, okay, instead of passing it there, pass it here. Instead of running this pick and roll from this spot, run it from that spot. Or run the pick and roll, that's fine, but let me do something inside of the pick and roll or away from the pick and roll to distract the defense so they can't key in on it. Yeah, to me, that's what I'm looking for that Nate does not provide. It's like he has a list. This is what we want to do, and if that list doesn't work, what you want me to do? It's the player's fault. Yeah. The player's not playing hard enough.
I agree. I think
setting harder screens and stuff like that. It's like to me, again, we had a more creative coach. This wouldn't even be a conversation right now. But it's funny because Rashad says he was pro Trae Young, and then now it's the same thing with Nate, right? After the Eastern Conference Finals year, I was like, Nate is the guy. And then throughout the season, I was like, this is not going to work with Nate. This is not going to work. And listen, I feel like the problem remains the same. I just feel like Trae, like Travis, like this. I'm gonna go to Travis here because I think Travis is an intelligent general manager and he should be given props for it. He's not going to draft a guy that's one-dimensional. Okay, all the guys we've drafted can do at least two things. At least.
Except for Trae Young.
No. Trae
Young
pass
can and shoot. He can do it.
He can operate the pick and roll. That's what you're saying.
Yes, I said that.
There's nothing wrong with the pick and roll. It's just not just doing the pick and roll over and over. You have to have some off-ball movement and then get into a pick and roll. So the defense isn't expecting it.
Yeah, we've never seen the creativity with Trae. Like Trae's always handling the ball and passing it to Murray. But how about we see Murray handle the ball and pass it to Trae? It's like you can't you're not going to tell Trae, well, Trae, you have an option on whether you can bring the ball up or not. Trae's just not going to say, well, no, I'm not going to take the ball up now. And, he's just not going to say that,
All the pressure is on Trae.
Exactly.
He's not free.
Exactly.
He's not getting I just want to see, an off-ball screen on Trae, him come off, DeJounte throw him the ball, get into a pick and roll right away. That's right. I don't mind the pick and roll. It's about getting into some movement. You know what I mean?
Exactly. We have no backdoor cuts.
And Rashad, to what is analysts and Madison and what you're saying about Trae Young in the pick and roll, and analysts brought up Travis. I was telling somebody this earlier.
Travis, my guy.
I've never seen a situation like this before, right? If you listen to how Travis describes how he wants them to play, the ball movement, the split cuts, the backdoor, the movement that he describes, and then you watch them play, it's the complete opposite. It's the antithesis of what he's describing he wants. So to me, if I got a guy who drafted all these players, he's describing to you how he wants them to play, why wouldn't you play that way so you guys could be in alignment? And you could say, okay, even if you want to say, Rashard, it's Trae Young, or as Simon say, the roster isn't talented enough. Why
Which I think is ridiculous.
Crazy, right? Why wouldn't you run it off? To me, just the way I think, okay, I don't think these guys are as talented as you think they are. But if you want me to run this particular offense with all this movement to get these guys open and consistent shots, I'm going to run that offense to show you they're not as talented as you think they are. What Nate does, and then you can't blame Nate because he's doing exactly what the GM wants him to do. Nate does it in reverse. The GM is telling him to play a certain way. He's playing the complete opposite and saying, well, what you want me to do? These guys aren't that talented. It's like, dude, just play the way he wants you to play. He's not explaining the way he wants them to play and bringing up these guys plus and minuses for you to do the complete opposite.
Exactly. And Travis, and I'm going to say this real quick, Rashad. Travis went out this offseason. He sat down with Nate, and he got the players that Nate wanted. Like the Holiday brothers are players that Nate wanted. Like a lot of these players are on the team because Nate wanted them here. So it's no excuse on why the offense looks the same. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so there could be, because I didn't know that about Travis. What I do want to say, it seems like you guys are making a little bit of my point in that everyone seems to recognize that Trae is a pick and roll point guard. Trae's Trae's at his best when he can operate a pick and roll offense. So I don't understand how you can demonize a coach for doing what his best player is best at. That's
best at. That's not all he can do. Like run him off some off-ball action. We don't know the work until we see it. But go ahead.
But my second point would be it could be that Travis is just still looking at this team as in the developmental stage, because I don't know if y'all remember what Golden State looked like before they became Golden State. They look sort of similar to what like the Mark Jackson Golden State, sort of similar to who we are right now. They play and they're like they have high highs and low lows. They win. They don't go out and execute like clockwork. They win off runs. Like they get hot and then they get cold. And the other thing that actually went on was no one talks about this. Steph Curry was like a 25-9 guy under Mark Jackson. He averaged a lot of assists. He was primary ball handler, and also their primary offense was horns and high pick and roll. That's what they did. So it could be that Travis is looking at this thing. I've been saying this for a while. Like we're 2 years away from our championship window opening. If it opens. The problem is we made the Eastern Conference Finals 2 seasons ago. And so now we're judging everybody based on that. The problem I have with Trae, we have no evidence that Trae can play differently. Like, he played this way in college. He's played this way his entire time in the pros. When times get hard, he plays this way. That's who he is. And so that's my biggest worry. And watching the team operate around Murray versus watching the team operate around Trae, I just feel like the team operates better when Murray's the primary ball handler.
I don't see. I think
The team now, not Trae Young and the team. The team.
So do you think the team is better when DeJounte, like, if let's say we have, a team with DeJounte running it, a team with Trae running it, which team you think goes further? You think the DeJounte team would win more games?
I do.
That's interesting.
No, because you don't have that.
You saw it last year.
You don't have that high level score. You need that guy who could go get you 40, 50 points. You need that, especially in the playoffs. But to your Golden State point, that's you made, as you said with Andrews, you made my point for me. The difference between Steve Kerr's Golden State Warriors and Mark Jackson Golden State Warriors is the system.
Yeah.
Part of the reason Mark Jackson got fired, a big part of the reason he got fired, was because he was uncreative, dull on offense. That's what we're running into now. And so I just, yes, Trae Young is genius in the pick and roll. We got that part. But he can do other stuff out, or at the very least, try it. And then if it doesn't work, then you could say, okay, Trae can only play the pick and roll. Maybe we need to get another ball handler. But that's why you went to go get Murray. That's why you drafted Jalen Johnson, because Jalen Johnson can bring the ball up. He can facilitate. He can initiate stuff with action that Nate runs or whatever, who another coach may come in and run. But what you're seeing is to me, like I said, I see the horns and I see pick and roll. And to me, when you got Jalen can initiate offense, Murray can initiate offense to a certain extent. Aaron Holiday can initiate offense to a lesser extent. DeAndre Hunter can initiate offense. You got 5 guys that I just named, or 6. Why is it's just these 2 in the pick and roll? Doesn't make any sense.
And notice why, because player development is everything. And we can't forget that DeJounte Murray was coached by Greg Popovich. Looking at his game from the past and looking at it now, it looks totally different. It looks totally more mature. It looks more polished. And because what wasn't going to happen on Pop's team was you weren't going to average 27 and 11. When you look at his average, it's like it was always balanced. Pop is not going to allow you to be a one-way player. Now, that's just Pop. But I think with Trae, because Trae is so good at what he's good at, I think you have to find a way first to make it work. And second, I think you have to find different ways to make him involved when his shot is not falling. I think we got to see it, because I believe that this can work. I believe if you run Trae for a lot of off-ball actions, make him, it's not that hard to make a guy a cutter. You run an action to where you have, because most teams, if the big is in the middle, you make the big stuff. It's a lot of different ways that you can orchestrate your offense. And if you can have Trae off ball, and you can have him running all these different, if you can have him running through, whether it's a backdoor cut or a slash to the basket, then we will be in much better shape. And honestly, it will open up another avenue for Trae to do something other than just pick and roll, even though, again, I'm going to say this one last thing. Look at who he's in the second unit with, right? No shooters, no scorers. You got Justin, Aaron, Jalen Johnson, on Kongwu, all right? So there's going to be a lot of ISO ball, and then right after that, Nate will click Capella back in the game. So there's nothing else for him to really do other than run the pick and roll with Capella to keep him engaged, or he's gonna be taking 30-foot threes. And then when he facilitates, like, yeah, he'll draw the foul. I think he's an expert at that. But other than that, like, there's no other movement to get Trae involved. You know, you're not having Holiday bring the ball up the court and Trae running off the screen, or you're not having Aaron Holiday do that, or you're not having, you know, a Kongu have the ball. You're not having Trae come around, and so, like, there's no creativity. And I think that's why you're seeing a one-dimensional Trae. With Murray, yes, Murray is a far better defender than Trae could ever dream of. And that, I think that's what leads to the offense that we were seeing last night. But I think Murray's game is a lot different. And when he penetrates to the basket, he's not penetrating to the basket for a foul like Trae is. He's penetrating to the basket to score. So I just think their games are just totally different. And I think they're all I think it's gonna work. Listen, you know, I don't know. I'm not trading Trae Young. I did make one exception. I said a Trae murdered Travis, and I said if he murdered Travis and I could get back Giannis, Middleton, every unprotected pick in the Bucks franchise history, every swap, and give us Bud, then I would consider. But, like, you know, I don't know. Like, I know they're not shopping Trae. They're not going to trade Trae unless he requests out. But, like, I don't even know a legit package you could put together that would.
And you keep up this McMillan mediocrity, he might. That's what I'm nervous
Hey.
about. When he kicked that chair over last night, I was like, oh crap, you know, he's looking around, he's surveying the landscape, and he, like, you know, this ain't gonna work, or this not working, you know.
Yeah.
So you always worry about that, but.
And Travis will get rid of Nate twice before he'll say Trae kick rocks.
Yeah, Tony Wrestler is heavily invested in Trae being, you know, this high level entertainer too. So I think that's
a key part. That's a key part.
I think that's a big thing.
I just think at the end of the day, when it boils down to it, I think you see Trae, 24, right? You see a 24-year-old out there with no system, winging it a lot of the time, and a lot of what you see is his brilliance. That's a lot of what you see out there. It's not a lot of system. I don't believe they sit down and he watches film. He says he watches film. He talks, okay, I'm playing chess with Spo. I'm playing chess with Nick Nurse. He never says the Atlanta Hawks are playing chess with this team, or the Atlanta Hawks are in a strategic battle with this team. It's me. I'm the one.
Exactly.
That tells me where's the help? Where, from a coaching perspective, where's the assistance?
You know good and well, pick and roll not gonna work against the Toronto Raptors.
Y'all killing me, man. Y'all are killing me.
Yeah.
Y'all keep saying
tell me when pick and roll
everything that's wrong with Trae, yet somehow y'all are blaming it on everybody around Trae. I don't get it. When you sit down and say it's me versus the world, most people say that's a you problem. When Trae says it, it's a Nate problem. Come on, man.
But Rashard, what I'm saying, Rashard, what he's saying is, I have to figure out a way to outmaneuver this coach. He's not getting any assistance, so you can see it, because if he was coaching,
because the other coach is actually coaching and thinking.
If he was getting coaching and he was getting assistance, you would see it. Like people say in the chat yesterday, I was going through the chat yesterday, and they were like, oh, you bring up Steve Kerr all the time. And what about the year they won 20 games? They got a first round pick. I'm like, did you watch them play, or did you look at their record? If you watch Golden State play that year, even without Steph, without Clay, without Draymond, they were still getting wide open shots all over the court. They had garbage talent that wasn't making the shots, but they were wide open. Tell me a time when you watch the Hawks where you get multiple players that get wide open shots in their spot.
I see Justin Holiday getting a lot of wide open shots. He just doesn't make them.
Okay.
Justin Holiday, I thought
probably
he was
the
shooting better
defense.
than. I thought he was shooting like better than 36% from 3 this year.
He's been
He
awful.
might be.
But
He had that
the
one
last
good
two
game.
games. The last 2 games. But
He's shooting
also
better than your boy.
He's also wide
Hunter-
open every time, but
every time for a
That's
reason.
his job.
Wide open in the
That's
corner,
true.
bricking all them
If
threes.
Nate is so good, Rashard, why is John Collins? What happened to John Collins the last week
and
and a half?
after you
It's
answer
Trae
that,
Young happened to John Collins.
Oh my goodness.
all right.
So what happens when he's not in the game?
Rashad. Tell me what you think Nate does well and why you think he's not the problem and Trae Young is.
Oh no! Just answer the first part.
You're blaming the
Nate.
pick and roll on Trae. Okay. So what do you think Nate does well?
So Nate is historically a good game manager. To where
exit. Go ahead.
Like the way that Nate plays, he typically, I'm talking about pre the Trae Young era, the way that Nate coaches is he likes to slow the game down, which I don't like, but he likes to slow the game down. He likes to run through his actions. He doesn't have a point guard that attacks. He typically plays from the mid post through bigs like Sabonis when Sabonis was with the Pacers and Turner. Like he plays through these guys in the mid post. He wasn't a heavy 3 guy. He was a very traditional play-by-play, manage the game, keep it close with defense, minimize turnovers. That's his resume.
So 1999 basketball. Is that's what you're
Exactly. That's his resume. With us, because if you read the story about Nate getting fired, the reason they said that Nate got say what?
4 times.
A lot of coaches get fired a lot. I mean,
He's been coaching for 17 years. 17 years. And ain't sniffed the finals.
Sniffed the second round.
A lot of coaches haven't sniffed the finals. That don't mean they're not good coaches.
Haven't sniffed the second round without us.
Hey.
That don't mean they're not good coaches. I'm just saying, like, when you look at the offense that he's running now, it is not a traditional Nate McMillan offense. It is not a traditional Nate McMillan team. Why is that? It's because they cater to Trae Young. Well, they cater to him.
Do you think the offense would be better off? Because you said he likes playing through the mid post. Do you think it would be better off giving the ball playing through John Collins in the mid post or letting Trae?
Or maybe if we got a better big.
No, I don't. So I don't have a problem with the way that with our offensive sets, right? Horns and high pick and roll. I don't have a problem with it. I do think we need to, because it's an evolution of it. I do think we need to, if we could add a player that could play through the elbow, which I think Okongwu could, but he doesn't. Nate doesn't seem to think that. So, you know.
Or Jalen can do that too, but he don't.
Yeah, we don't have any evidence of that. But outside of college,
look at his whole. Huh?
Look,
you said what?
Outside of college, we don't have any evidence of that.
But he hasn't been given the opportunity. You can't say somebody can't do something because they haven't been given the opportunity to do it.
Well, Okongwu, I've seen Okongwu. Okongwu can make that shot from there. Okongwu's a good screen setter. He does a lot of good things. By the way, Justin Holiday shooting 37.5% from 3. I'll take it. But anyway,
what 8 attempts
I
a
won't
game?
take it when you bricking wide open.
I
shots.
see 31%.
3.5 attempts a game.
I see 37 from the field. At least that's what I see on my ESPN stats.
I'm looking at it right now on NBA.com. Oh no, I'm wrong. 31.3. I was wrong.
I'm about to say. I don't think last game then shot that percentage.
I also don't think Justin is that bad of a shooter. He's not great. He'll get it up to 35.
Yeah, he probably league average. That's what I was about to say. But
Yeah. Nah,
If he ain't
but
traded.
I would like that wrinkle, especially like when you like the Miami game, right? If you had someone that you could play through the elbow and run and run your screens and everything on the wings, kind of like what Miami does. Those sets that they put in when Hero and Duncan are in, I think that'd be a great evolution to the offense. But my
not
biggest problem
happening.
with Trae Young and the offense is I don't like his pace. Now that may be due to Nate McMillan, but Murray plays faster, and that allows our offensive weapons to thrive because he's up the court in 3 to 4 seconds. We're already in our sets. If he's in a high pick and roll, he's already at the elbow to where he can make his reads within 6 to 7 seconds. And so it can flow through the offense and it can progress. But with Trae's not up the court for 8 seconds. He walks it up 6, 7 seconds. Then he stands there. Then he calls for Capella to come. And then Capella runs up. And then he comes off the screen. By the time we get into our sets, it's like 12 seconds. And that really just it slows it bogs down the offense because everybody is watching because of that. Because they gotta let the offense progress too. You can't cut if Trae hasn't made it past the screen.
But Trae always talks about we got to play faster. We got to play faster. We only got up 85 shots, 90 shots. We got to get into the hundreds for us to be successful. He talks about it all the time. He said we play too slow. We play too slow. Huh?
Yeah. Well, this is kind of a not off topic, but this is a question out of left field. I want to talk about the center position. A center came to mind because Clint Capella is absolutely awful. You already know my stance on that.
Is Rashad a Capella fan?
That's why
Capella hurt, man. Capella hurt.
I introduced him as Clint Capella.
He what?
So.
Capella hurt, man.
He's not hurt.
Trey's sick.
Hey, he is. I take that back, Rashard. He is hurt. Okongwu Menace is hurting his feelings. And
Okongwu looked like trash this year, man. Okongwu don't have 2 good games. The worst thing Okongwu could have did this season, the worst thing Okongwu could have did Saturday was dunk on Giannis. Because after he dunked on Giannis, it was over.
That's the worst thing he could have did. He could have done what Capella was
by
doing.
the way, your boy Jalen Johnson, who y'all love, who y'all think should play more, 18% from 3.
Well, that's not his game.
3-point shooter.
Off of how many attempts?
So why is he out there?
Probably like 7 the whole year.
What do you mean? Why is he out there? Everybody
He's
out there.
He's shooting 1.5 a game.
Yeah, he's not a 3-point shooter, but he can't operate. He can't operate the game out the high post, as we said. He can't initiate the offense. He can't get the ball downhill. He's an excellent rebounder, and he's a pretty good defender. There's a multitude of reasons he's out there, and would look a lot better if we had a better coach, not a brain dead coach who has him stand in the corner like he's back in the day, Jason Capono standing over there.
If we had a better coach, Jalen Johnson wouldn't play.
Ooh.
Yes, he would, because Travis would make sure he plays. That's the reason he's playing now.
The reason I don't believe that is because Toronto is so interested in him and willing. What I'm hearing is that if Toronto's interested in you, I think you have talent.
Denver,
Toronto, you got to shoot threes. You have to shoot threes for Toronto.
Yeah, but Toronto will make you shoot threes. Look at Preston Achiuwa. Yeah. Preston Achiuwa shot 2 threes when he was in Miami. When he got to Toronto, over 200 threes for the season.
And
you got to shoot threes for Toronto. I love Toronto, man.
If I'm looking at the roster, and I'm looking at Nate, right?
I love Nurse.
I'm looking at Nate.
I love Nick Nurse.
I like Nick Nurse too. I'm like, okay, if I'm looking at the roster, I'm looking at Nate. I'm saying Nate's the problem because if I'm looking at Kevin Huerter, right? You told me last year you couldn't use him. You didn't know how to use him. You couldn't use him, whatever the case may be. He goes to Sacramento, and what's crazy is he's playing
2 good games.
He's what?
He had 2 good games.
Look at his point average. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Don't cheat that man. No, he didn't.
Herder been lighting it up.
And
He
what
had
the, and
2
what
good
he,
games.
he's running through the offense that I said Hawks should have, which is a lot of what? Split cuts, back cuts, flare screens, horn sets, UCLA cuts. That's what they're running Kevin Herter through. That's why he's successful. It doesn't
Herder's
take
almost at
genius.
19 a game.
Exactly. On what? 50% shooting from 3, 48.
It's pretty high. I don't remember.
I mean, but what Nate couldn't figure out how to use him, but another team can. That's why I don't trust Nate. So no more players am I getting rid of on behalf of Nate McMillan.
Yep. Because
no more.
But Rashad, I did want to ask you this though. Do you believe I'm gonna name I'm gonna name 3 centers, all right, that I believe are better than Capella. But I want to see if you think they're better than Clint Capella. So I'm gonna start off with I'm gonna ask you about Yusuf Nurkic.
I would take Clint over Nurkic.
Okay. All right.
Part of that is just availability. Nurkic doesn't really play a lot.
Okay.
I mean, I live in Portland, so.
Okay. Yeah. So you up there with him in the rain? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The rain ain't good for his bones. They fragile for some reason.
All right. Who that? Miles Turner.
I'll take Miles over Nate over Clint.
Thank
Okay.
goodness.
All right. And my last one I'm gonna ask you about. I got a lot more, but I'm gonna cut it off here. What about Jonas Valanciunas?
I would take Jonas over Clint. Yes, I would.
Okay.
We got some progress going on. Okay. I like this.
It's unfortunate.
I remember when Rashad last year, he was like, Clinton is untouchable. I was like, what?
I still think Clint is a top 5, top 7 center. He doesn't look right this year, though. Something's wrong.
He haven't looked right in a long time.
No.
So, like, Clint usually shoots. He usually his shooting percentage is usually around 60%. This year it's like 40%.
Well, his touch is horrible this year.
Yeah, because he can't.
Yeah, there's something wrong.
He can't.
I told you.
I see a point. Like, I don't think Clint is going to play like this the whole year. I think he's going to improve a little bit.
I know, because he's going to get another team.
But if you look at Okongwu, I mean, you can just see I'm pretty sure he's leading the league in field goal percentage this year. He's just way better at finishing as far as with touch.
Yeah, but Okongwu's terrible at defensive rebounds.
That's true. He's got to improve that.
And he's a overly aggressive fouling machine.
I'd rather have that.
Cannot play more than 25 minutes a game. He'll foul out every game.
I'd rather have that than what I'm seeing from Clint, who can't guard.
So who gonna be your backup center?
I'll go.
You probably have to trade for
right
one.
now.
We'll trade Clint for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen. There's a lot of centers I would take right now over.
Hey, Dwight Howard said he won a second chance in the NBA.
Dwight don't need to come here. He got like 5 of his 8 baby mamas stay in Atlanta. He ain't gonna have time to train.
Hey, you talking about Lou Will? You talking about Lou Will? Hey,
that's who we need.
No, Lou Will. Hey, Lou Will down the street. You know.
Trae Young, bring Lou Will back. That's what we need.
Hey, Lou Will on Spring Street. Matt know what I'm talking about.
Lou Will. I have no comment.
Lou Will on Spring Street at a night I won't call it nice, at a place called Magic. I'll stop there.
Anyway,
Lou Will.
Lou go there for the wings, man. I've been to Magic City. They got good food.
It is very good.
So look, man.
He got his own wings there too.
Yeah, he got his own wings.
Listen.
But no, I'll take Miles Plumlee over.
That's so far.
I don't- I wouldn't-
No. As a backup.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. Is our starter for sure. Come trade
Uh,
deadline. He might get
so-
traded in December.
Clint
Might
ain't getting traded.
Listen,
Clint
Hey,
ain't getting traded.
I'm gonna sit Trae Young down. That's we all three know that's the only reason Capella's here is because of Trae Young, their friendship. But I'm sitting Trae
He ain't
down.
getting traded.
Come first week of December, I'm sitting Trae down. Hey, look, Trae, this dude missed about
Sucks.
5 layups a game. Okay, he's a defensive liability at this point. And what's so crazy is he's only 28. People act like he's like 33, 34. He's only 28. He should be. He should technically.
So how do
be in his
y'all?
prime.
Okay. So how do y'all justify the numbers? Do you know what Clint is
Numbers.
averaging and what Onyeka's averaging?
I think Onyeka is at like 8-8, probably 8-6.
Onyeka's at
Clint
10.
is 8-8, 8-9.
Onyeka's at
so
10 and 6.
So they're pretty
the same-
similar,
same
and Onyeka
thing.
gets less minutes.
A lot less minutes, and he's a way
I
better
don't think he
defender than
gets
Capella.
a lot less.
What?
And
10
Actually, it might
minutes a game, right?
Onyeka's
might.
at what?
He's probably at 20 something.
21.
He's at
Okongwu
19.9.
averaging 9 points and 5 rebounds
In 20 minutes.
in 20 minutes, and Clint is averaging 8 points and 8 rebounds in 25 minutes with 28 minutes.
It's pretty
he's a
comparable.
That's a big difference. 20 and
For
28. No,
For
20
Clint,
and 28.
yeah.
That's a big difference.
Clint grabbing 3 more rebounds a game.
In 8 minutes, that's
And 8 more minutes. That's not impressive.
Clint averaging 4 more rebounds a game.
in 8 minutes.
So
That's a rebound every 2 minutes.
So I would have to
not bad.
get when it should be every possession, but we're not gonna talk about that.
Of course, because he's Superman, apparently.
So
No, so
We're gonna-
John
we're gonna
Collins
have-
is averaging more rebounds than him, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably
what
good to do.
What's his use?
I'm gonna have to get
Shot blocking.
John Collins averaged more blocks than him. So what is his use? What
to my
is he?
point-
What is he good for?
to my point.
He defers
He's a
shots
lob
at the
threat.
basket.
Oh my god.
Let me move
Oh,
on.
my
Let me move on
goodness.
because right now, and I'm gonna say this, and Rashad not gonna like it. I would trade Clint right now to the Clippers to get Zubac back.
Oh, I bring Zubac. Yeah, I'm with that.
I'm shocked that you. I'm shocked. I am shocked.
I'm with the Zubac. I'm on the Zubac train.
Too bad we can't do Miles Turner. I would do that in a heartbeat.
We could, but
I would
Indiana
do.
probably
I
would
would
take
do
back.
Miles Turner. Like definitely.
Indiana probably. I don't think they would want back Clint Capella on a long.
They'd
term
want Jalen
contract.
with it, probably.
Nah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this: I have to get Monty McNair, the GM of the Kings. I have to get him.
Trey Lyles. I forgot about that. I would take
Yeah.
Trey Lyles over Capella easily.
Oh my God.
All day, all day, every day. Trey Lyles.
Oh, my God.
How tall is Trey Lyles? Like 6'8"?
6'9".
6'10".
He's
6'10".
6'10"?
6'9".
He's a
Can he
big-
rebound?
6'10".
Can you rebound?
As well as Clint. At
Oh
this
man,
stage.
come on, stop it, man.
At this
Well,
stage.
I'm gonna
Rashad,
have-
what would you think about Clint for like some package around Clint for like Gary Trent and maybe Precious Achua?
Please.
Man, my biggest challenge with Chua is I'm not sure he can bang because Achua is like 6'8", right?
Yeah.
But
My thing is I would like Clint. I mean, I would like Gary Trent. I would like him a lot. I'm a big fan of him. I used to watch him in Summer League. I thought he was great. If we can get Gary Trent for Clint, I would do it only because I think we could package some of our players and bring in a serviceable center that I think that'll get the job done.
Center, though. You got Kungwu.
To me, Kungwu's not a starting center. To me, I think he's a power forward. I think you can maximize his talents at the power forward position.
Hey, Rashad, but guess what? Your coach of the year would have been playing at the 4 with Capella on the
I know
court.
that. I didn't say he was coach of the year. I have my gripes with Nate. I just don't think he's a bad coach. I think Nate's a good coach. Now,
No, I'll
if
say
you
he's
want, if
not-
you want
you're
to
right,
know if
he's not.
I'm a better coach than Nate, then of course I think I am. But I mean, you know, we all do.
He's
Yeah.
not bad. He's just average.
And
Nate's
average
a
is
good
winning
coach.
a championship.
He's I say this all the time. He's an A plus an F. That's a C. That's what he is.
So
A plus and an F.
I'm gonna
that's a C.
I'm gonna have to get Monty McNair. I'm gonna have to get him with Miles Bridges drinking that stuff Bridges was drinking. I'm gonna have to get him drinking a little bit too much and get him to trade Sabonis to Atlanta for Clint Capella. And I'm gonna have to. I'll give you your first round pick that you gave us for Herder. I'll give you a pick this year. Give me Sabonis. You.
I don't want him.
I don't want
I disagree with
Sabonis
your
either, to be
analyst on
honest.
that.
You don't
I
want
don't want him.
Sabonis?
No.
This man is a better rebounder than
He needs the ball too much.
And
I like
he's a
Sabonis.
horrible.
But
He's an
that's a
awful
good thing.
defender. He's
No,
an
he is.
awful
He is.
defender.
He's a good
Awful.
rim protector. He's a good rim protector.
No, he's not. He's not.
Sacramento.
Now listen, Sacramento's
Sacramento's
running
looking
him,
for a center.
but Sacramento's playing Sabonis at center. That's the thing. And
He's not.
like the thing about Sabonis is the fact that he needs the ball is not a bad thing when you have Trae can defer to him at times where you can just throw it down to him and let Sabonis work, you know, instead of having to utilize your two guards.
How does Sabonis and Collins work though? I don't.
Well,
They don't.
if you
You'll
look,
need a Conwu at the 4, if you ask me.
well, I think listen, I'm looking to get Capella out of here any way possible. And the Kings are a historically dumb franchise at trades. So, you know, I think they would actually trade Capella for Sabonis. But there's a lot of teams that'd be willing to take. Like I know Dallas was interested, but Dallas has no one I'm really I really like other than like if you're going to give me back Finney Smith, but he's not a center or anywhere near playing in the. I think he's a 3. I think he's a very versatile big 3. I'm not sure about like, but again, I think there's a lot of good centers out there.
Who else would be available to trade as far as centers?
You could get well, he's technically not a center per se, but you could get Rashard Holmes from Sacramento.
I don't know if him for Clint makes sense necessarily, but
because I'm thinking of these guys are backups to Capella. I mean backups to Onyeka.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not like I don't want somebody that
you don't want to.
I don't want somebody too good because they're back.
We just need rebounding off the bench.
Yeah, like if Drummond was available, I'd be like perfect. But I'm not a fan of those big lumbering centers. I think they slow the pace down. They're most like if we had what's his name who was on the team a couple years ago, Damian Lee.
Yeah,
like
that was the one thing that was good about Clint is when he was in his prime, he was able to run the floor a little bit compared to the average big center. But
right. And what's so crazy is like I keep saying he's only 28. I'm 28 and I'm not, you know what I'm saying?
I really thought he was going to give us another year, even 2 years to let Okongwu develop. But I just don't see it this year.
Yeah, it's time. It's time for him to depart. And his play is so pedestrian. I don't even know if we're gonna be able to get a first round pick for him.
I don't
I'm a little bit concerned.
Yeah.
All right, I'm back. Last I heard, y'all talking about Richaun Holmes, which I don't know if he's much of an upgrade.
No. What I was saying was Onyeka's the clear starter. So you're looking for a backup center. Yeah.
Now, Matt, I want to be clear here. I'm all for Onyeka starting. But if I get an offer that I can get a starting caliber center back, I'm
He is
going
a
to
starting
take.
caliber center.
No. I mean, in a trade. So if I'm talking like
Like a Miles Turner.
if Miles Turner comes on the table, I'm taking Miles Turner. Now Miles Turner is on an expiring contract, so you'll let Miles play out this year. If you don't want to pay him, then just slide on Yucca there, and then you'll get all Clint's money long term. But if I get back if I can get back a use of Nurkic, or to me Zubac would be a really
I
good
like
backup, a really good backup. And let Onyeka start. Probably knowing Nate, he'll probably start Zubac though. Which listen, I like Zubac. And then or if now I'm not saying you're gonna be able to swap this player just straight up, but I've been hearing rumblings around LA and Anthony Davis. If you package some type of package to get him back, then I think you do it. Now, I didn't like AD because of his injury prone, but looking at when you go against teams like Milwaukee and Toronto, he tortures those teams because first of all, he's a great defender. He guards the pick and roll. He's one of the better pick and roll defenders in the league. And here's the catch. I actually think if you're gonna move Collins and Capella in a deal like that, you run Onyeka at the 5, and then you run AD at the 4, or vice versa. But I think Onyeka probably run the 5, and then you run AD at the 4. So I'm all for that. Even though, listen, I don't. He hasn't had a significant injury this year. I think, but listen, when AD is healthy, he's an undeniable, amazing player. And like when we go against the Bucks, like I don't want the Bucks running Drew and Giannis pick and roll all game, and we can't stop it. Like I've watched Anthony Davis really slow that down on multiple occasions. Now, Anthony Davis is probably out of reach for right now, but like I said, Matt, if there's a center that comes on the table where I can get back a starting caliber center, I'm going to take the deal, and I'm going to say Onyeka. However many years this guy has left on his deal, we'll work that out, or you all can compete for the starting center position until. But I think Onyeka, if Onyeka can get the defensive rebounds, I think he's ready now. I think if you put him, I think actually he can grab it now. I just think that in the backup role, it's a little tough. But but again, if I get an offer where I can get back a starting caliber center, I'm gonna take it, and I'm gonna have to explain on Onyeka. Listen, let this guy do his thing, and you can continue to develop as a backup, and we may make a change. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like Onyeka's ready, and you don't want to keep.
I feel like he's ready too. I'm just saying that I'm not gonna if Portland came to the table or the Clippers came to the table and said Zubac right now, and we'll give you another player to fit to make the salary work. I'm taking that trade. Like I don't
for
like.
Capella. I don't know if we.
Yeah.
I think we'll have to. I think we'll have to level the compensation because Capella's not worth that. So,
but think about it like this, right? I'm thinking about Steve Ballmer. Steve Ballmer is a name guy. Lawrence Frank really does not like. I've heard Tyronn Lue is a big voice in the draft room and in like all right, let's trade for this person. Lawrence Frank is another salary cap guy. Steve Ballmer, when Steve Ballmer hears big names, he's going after him, and he's willing to pay whatever it takes to get him. Ty Lue is more that guy that would say, wait a minute, I don't know about Capella because he's been struggling this year. But if you leave it just with the Lawrence Frank and Steve Ballmer, they'll trade you Zubac and Marcus Morris Sr. to get back Capella, and they may even throw in a pick to get him back. But I think, listen, I think you send Capella and Kaminsky back, and you get back Zubac. I'll take Nick Batum back. I think he's a good shooter. Now, again, this is me visualizing without Nate because I think a real coach that's creative and willing to do multiple things. They're willing to try like a Batum and Jalen Johnson package together. They're willing to blend stuff, and that's what I'm looking for. Like in a coach, I want a coach who's just gonna look to be just creative. Like lineups out there that oh man, I didn't think about that lineup, and it works. Like Nick Nurse, like he's one of the best at it. Tyronn Lue, one of the best at it. Willie Green does it. So just something to think about there. But again, if I get an opportunity to get back significant talent, not talent, because you're not going to get talent back for Capella, but if you get a chance to get back a significant player, I'm taking that for Capella. 10 out of 10.
What we could have did to solve this, just go out and traded for DeAndre Ayton when he was available. I think that was
he's still
a
available.
mistake.
But...
Well, can he be traded with his contract extension?
So he can be traded in January, by January.
Yeah, that's probably too late. If the Suns are too good by then, I don't see them.
But
maybe.
The thing is I don't know. I know the Suns love Capella. That's shocking, but they love Capella. Chris Paul loves him from Houston days. And he's familiar with him. That's why you saw like all the rumors talking about, Capella with Capella and Atlanta. Not Capella and Phoenix, and DeAndre Ayton to Atlanta. I think there's still gonna be an opportunity to do that because I think if they don't get a Jay Crowder, by the way, Jay Crowder was here in Atlanta at Georgia Tech. He was watching. I'm sorry, he was practicing at Georgia Tech. I think that I think he wants to come back home. But if you say your camera's off, by the way, Matt.
I know.
Okay. So I think if you say something like, "We'll trade you Capella," and I hate to do this, I really do. This is gonna hurt us. But if you say we'll trade you Capella, Bogey, and Holiday to get back Ayton and Jay Crowder,
that's a deal you got to do.
Right, I think that's a deal you got to do. That's gonna hurt shooting because you're gonna take away Bogey, and like you get Jay Crowder. Like to me, I think Jay Crowder is a playoff type dude. Like you need him in the playoffs. That type of player. And then Ayton is a guy. Again, Ayton is just a guy that he's way better than Capella. He can do multiple things with the ball. He gives you a lot of optionality. It's not either Trae or Murray or no one. And if Hunter don't feel like attacking the basket, then we're not going to go to So it's like it gives you a lot of optionality. Now, would I trade Collins and Capella for Ayton? I'm not doing that. I can't do that.
I'm not a big Ayton fan.
Really?
Yeah, he's just like first of all,
you got it. You can go.
The first reason why he doesn't, in my opinion, he doesn't fit is because again, you don't want to stunt Onyeka's development. If you get a guy that just signed a new 5-year contract, what are you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? You kind of like it defeats the purpose of Onyeka. One.
So you're looking to take back backup type players for Capella in a trade.
Mm-hmm. And I'm really interested in a pick, or it don't necessarily have to be a first round pick. It could be 2 second round picks if they're high. Ideally, of course, you want a first round pick, but no, I'm more interested in the backup. I'm more interested in the backup player and the pick, as opposed to like again, I don't want like a Miles Turner's cool, but like he's on the plan, so that makes it more attractive. But somebody that's on a long-term deal, that's unattractive to me because I just made a commitment to Onyeka next year. I basically made him untradeable this summer, and I drafted him number 6 overall. I'm committed to him long term. I don't see bringing in another high usage center. It really makes him useless. But
could you imagine a 7-footer who can actually finish around the rim?
Mm-hmm.
A guy who you can throw it in the post and he actually like can put a post move and get his shot off
and not miss 2-foot jumpers
and hit mid-ranger.
What if you got Vucevic? He's on the next fire.
I don't want Vucevic.
You don't want Vucevic? This is the one center that his average actually went up in the
playoffs. If we're gonna get a center that is good enough to start over Onyeka, he's got to be Ayton level. He's got to be younger. He's got to be worth it. Like I don't think Vucevic is worth stunting Onyeka's growth.
Well, he's on a 1-year deal as well.
Right.
He's
That
got
is
a
true.
year left on his contract. I'm looking like, to me, unless
he's a bad defender.
Yeah, he's not great.
But think about it like this, right? But he's a double guy. But to me, if I'm gonna trade Capella and start on Yeka, I'm gonna have to know when I go to that bench, we're not losing anything on the boards. We're not losing anything in the post. We're not running Jalen Johnson at the backup 5. So I don't like when I want to get something back to where even if we get something back, we're on Yeka slides in the startup position, which I'm 110% for. We need to get something back that. All right, so let's just say you had a Zubac coming off the bench. I'm all for Zubac coming off the bench. I think that
I can see that.
I think that's a deal that's acceptable. Rashawn Holmes, if you talk about him coming off the bench, I think that's acceptable. If you're talking about the Hornets, I don't know about Mason Plumlee. I'm not a.
I wouldn't mind it, but I don't think
if you're gonna trade me Mason Plumlee, I want Oubre and a pick back, a first-round pick. I want give me that wing depth so I can run Bogey and Oubre together. That's gonna be your scoring and defensive versatility off the bench, and then give me Mason.
I'm thinking of something like
I want significant value back.
I want something like, for me personally, I'm like, okay, there's a lot of turmoil right now in Brooklyn, so I'm like, okay, I could take Nicholas Claxton.
If I can get Claxton, I would do that deal today.
Deshaun Sharp or David Duke, something like that, and a pick. It don't have to be a real pick, but a heavily protected pick. That's what I'm looking for. A player like Nicholas Claxton, that type of player to come in behind Onyeka.
The problem is, I think if we got Claxton, Nate would start him.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I like Claxton, though. I think if we could do Capella, and I think the Nets would be the type of team that would do that trade, just trade for another veteran name.
You know what?
Yep.
My bad. I didn't mean to cut y'all off, but I'm looking over here, and I'm seeing something that I like because the
only problem is the money, right? Because Claxton is on a rookie deal. So is Sharp. So is David Duke.
They just extended him, so he's making $8 million a year. He's on a 2-year deal.
Plus Duke, I think Duke is at 2.
I'm not a huge fan of David Duke.
Or Deshaun Sharp. I like him too.
Listen.
Okay, they say I've heard. I'm not
Kessler Edwards
available as well.
I don't want players back like that. I like
Kessler.
Well, if you're getting Claxton and the rest of them, it's just the money.
Yeah,
exactly. So the money, that's not going to work. Like if you're Sharp is making $2 million. David Duke is making 1.5, so that doesn't do anything. Yeah. If we're talking about salary fillers, I'm talking about Royce O'Neal, Seth Curry. I want Seth, who's on an expiring deal, can give us that pop off the bench.
What is TJ Warren making?
About that. Yeah,
TJ Warren's making 1.8.
Okay.
So he's hard.
He's on a minimal deal. It'll be a little difficult, but Claxton is definitely the player I want. Those are one of those deals that will probably have to fit in under the 10% exception. 10% of the overall deal.
I wouldn't let Brooklyn know that Claxton is the centerpiece, though, because if you do that, they're not throwing in Seth or Royce O'Neal. They're going to say, well,
I don't think you're going to get Royce O'Neal. They gave up a real first for Royce O'Neal.
Yeah.
You might be able to get like a Joe Harris or a Seth Curry.
Yeah, maybe a Joe Harris, because of the money.
Yeah, Joe is making
huge.
Joe's making what Clint's making. I would take Seth Curry today.
Oh yeah,
today.
Yeah. Or Patty Mills.
Patty Mills would be fine.
I like Patty Mills. I think it would clog. Like Nate would literally be rolling around on the ground, figuring out whether he plays Patty Mills.
No, I mean, I think with that at that point, Aaron Holiday doesn't need to play anymore if you get Patty Mills.
Or you can take Justin out of it, unless you throw Justin Holiday to Brooklyn, which I don't think. Travis is not a huge fan of multiplayer deals. Like he doesn't like moving a whole bunch of pieces. So Clint for Nick Claxton and Seth Curry. If I had to send back a pick, I would, because I really love Seth. Like, Claxton behind Onyeka, and then you got Seth coming off your bench with Bogey, which we can complain about the defense, but you still got Aaron Holiday, you still got Jalen Johnson, and you got Nick Claxton off the bench. Nick Claxton is to me is a decent rim protector. Onyeka starting with to me that completes the team. So like, I mean, you're looking at a guy in Seth and Claxton. Again, if I had to send a pick back, I would. But I feel like Brooklyn would be so excited because Brooklyn also needs front court help. Tremendous front court help.
So Nicholas Claxton is just is an example of the type of player that I'm like, okay, I'll be willing to do something like that. Some of the other centers you talk about, I'm not really a big fan.
Yeah, but you get the deal I'm looking to get back. Like I never want to just make a deal just to make a deal. Like if I'm gonna make a deal, I'm gonna get value some way. Like if I don't want to start a center back, you best believe I'm taking your best players off your bench, or you're gonna give me draft capital. Because when I'm making a deal, I'm not just gonna listen. I don't like Capella. He's been one of the worst centers in the league. But if I can get a starting center back for him, if I can get this deal, Claxton and Curry, you better believe I'm taking it. Taking the deal.
The only thing about the picks is they don't have any picks. They don't have any picks because they gave one up for Royce O'Neal and the rest are with Ben Simmons.
I know
although they got a couple. They got a couple back from Philly for.
I was gonna say I know that they got back a 27 pick that's protected from Philly. And 27, man, they invested a lot in James Harden. So in 2027, Houston still owes their swap rights. So you could get Brooklyn's not trading another future pick.
That's why I'm like that's why I thought about Brooklyn because they don't really own any of their picks until 20.
Sean Marks is this close to resetting it, and he doesn't want to give up any more picks.
Yeah, because they don't really have any picks the next 3 drafts, so it's like they have no incentive to tank. So that's why I'm like, a deal like a player like that is somebody of interest to me. I've always liked Nicholas Claxton, and I believe that was the Bruno Fernando draft in the second round. So I was always a big fan.
I believe so. I'm looking here. Brooklyn does have a pick. I believe Brooklyn, it looks like they have I don't know if this is least favorable or more favorable. If this is more favorable, they're going to have a really good pick, which I don't think this is. But their pick this year is via either Philly or Houston. The pick they traded to Utah is, I think it's between like 3 teams, the least favorable out of 2 teams. So the pick is real. It's just it's not going to be a really good pick. And then it looks like Houston deferred the pick till next year. So Brooklyn might get their pick this year. I don't know. But all I know is that Sean Marks is not moving out any more future draft capital for any more players. He's right. He's right there at resetting the whole thing. I would actually, again, if I could get back Claxton and Curry for Capella, I would send back the Herder pick, honestly. I would send that pick back. Or I would make the 2023 pick that we own like fake, like 22, 24 protected. And see if they will bite on that. I do know that Brooklyn is dangling the 27 pick from Philly, but it's not really getting anything. But I like the Claxton and Curry deal, but if I'm the general manager, I'm not going to trade Capella like you said for Trey Lyles. Listen,
because what you're looking at, you're gonna
have to give me an unprotected pick for me to take back Trey Lyles.
That's never gonna happen for Capella. But what you're looking at is 2 things. One, the money. You're getting off his money. He's owed the next 2 seasons. You're getting off that money. That's first and most important. Well, not most important. That's first. Second, you are advancing Okamu's growth because like I said, you've invested a lot into him. So if I'm looking at a backup center the deal is going to be different from what I would normally ask for, because I know Okongwu is going to be my starting center, so I'm not really. Of course, I'm not going to say that openly, but I'm not really looking at what I would be looking at in a normal deal. I'm just happy you're willing to take Capella off my books.
Right.
that.
Yeah, but like I said,
some cash considerations.
listen, if Sean Marks is a sharp general manager. Like, he's just not going to take nothing. But Sean Marks,
because he is in a little bit of a tight spot. Okay, he does not have Sean Marks does not have the. I'll just say he doesn't have the runway he had a couple years ago. I'll put it that way.
That's true.
He doesn't have the leeway to because if you think about it, this is his third iteration. This is his third attempt at trying to build something. So he got he placated to KD and Kyrie so much. I do know, it's from just talking to people up in Brooklyn and New York that I'm not saying he's going to get fired. Well, I'm also saying that that contract that expires at the end of next season is not guaranteed to get extended either.
Listen,
it just really depends. It really depends what the next year looks like.
If he does not get extended, fire Landry Fields and get him to Atlanta quick. Sean Marks, to me, now I don't agree with getting James Harden and trading away a year and a half later after you giving up 8-9 years of draft control. I don't agree with that. But Sean Marks, to me, again, I view him as one of the better GMs in the NBA, one of the sharper minds, a willingness to show that he's willing to pull the trigger, going out and, listen, like he doesn't put up with like I know you're saying with Kyrie, but like to me, he just like, and people could say, I know that Jeff Peterson's in that front office, but I don't know if he was there. I don't know. But Sean Marks did identify and draft Jared Allen, Karis LeVert, D'Angelo. He didn't draft D'Angelo Russell, but he took on D'Angelo Russell, put him in that developmental program, Spencer Dinwiddie. So he drafted some talent. And to me, if you ask me, he picked the right coach. KD and Kyrie just made him fire the right coach.
He has some. He got some strong points, but I do know Jeff Peterson does run their draft now. He has since he got there 3 years ago.
So tell me your because at this point we're just talking at this point, but tell me your top 5 executives in the league or general managers, whatever you want to call it. And then I'm curious to hear Matt G's as well. Because me, I love NBA GMs, and I'll tell you if you're a good GM or a bad GM.
Top 5. I definitely think I know he's technically not the general manager, but that's probably only in title only. Tayshaun Prince in Memphis. I do know he controls their draft, and he has the last 6 years. They don't have any wasted talent on their team, any wasted spots on their team. It's loaded. And Elijah Jenkins is a very, very, very good coach. Taylor Jenkins, I'm sorry, is a very, very good coach. I wish we would have hired him instead of Lloyd Pierce. But Memphis, Tayshaun is number 1 on my book. Memphis, number 2. I would have to go David Griffin only because I do like the depth of the players he's got. They're not just one type of player. It's a wide variety of players. He's been able to
very versatile.
find some gems in the second round. Herbert, getting Alvarado undrafted. Kyra Lewis I like a lot. So
They got EJ Liddell, who he
I
got hurt.
I
But
like him from Ohio State.
I got him in the second round.
3, Musa Ujiri. They know talent. I mean, it's crazy. Like they pick up this guy you never heard of him. He can play.
Bobby Webster. Yeah, I love him.
Yeah. Musa is very good. 4. I don't know who to split the credit between Calvin Booth and Tim Connolly out in.
It was Tim Connolly. He drafted Jokic. He drafted Murray. The bonehead move he made was extending Michael Porter Jr. for so early.
I love Michael Porter Jr.
I love him too.
I love the idea of Michael Porter Jr. I'll put it that way.
He's just very injured.
So he's Tim Connolly's number 4, and then number 5. I honestly think Travis is is number 5. I'm sorry, Bob Myers. How could I forget Bob Myers? But he's on such a different level. I'm not even going to put him on this list. He's such in a different stratosphere. But I would put Travis at number 5 or number 6. I do think he has a very good eye for talent. If I can fault him for one thing, it's he has a tendency to fall in love with players. He has a tendency to like players, and whether it's in the draft or do trade, he has a tendency to be overly attached with players because he has a certain vision for them and he wants it to work. So he kind of holds on to them too long. Or like, for instance, I love DeAndre Hunter. I'm not sure I would have gave up the package they gave up to get him, So like, I love Cam Reddish. I like Cam Reddish a lot. I'm not sure I would have drafted him at number 10. So that's the only really fault. And then he keeps on his coaches too long. Case in point with Nate McMillan. But that's really it. I mean, I think his eye for talent overall is pretty strong.
What about you, Matt G?
Yeah, I agree mainly for the most part on that list. I really like Masai. I'd probably put Masai, honestly. Top 3. I might have him number 1. I think, yeah, for the most part, same guys. I think a guy, I don't think you said him, Sam Presti. I think he's done a solid job. Obviously they're not a very good team, but if they can put together these picks, they're going to be really good. And Bob Myers, obviously. And I think I think he's close to top 5. I'm not sure if he's quite there, but I like Travis. I think he's there for sure.
So I have like a pool of GMs here. I like a lot of them. But
last thing, Ben, is honorable mention would have to go to Kobe Altman in Cleveland.
I like Kobe.
Yeah.
So Kobe was actually on my list. He's not number 1, but he was on my list. Masai. I can't give you top 5. I'm gonna have to give you top 7 or 8, right? I love Masai Ujiri. He has like some of the. First of all, their eye for talent is different, but like the developmental system and just the methods. Like I was watching this exit interview, and he was like, "Last year we won. Last year, the Tampa Tank year, we won. Why do we win?" And then he goes, "Scotty Barnes." And I'm like that's like brilliant. Like, like most teams, like, oh, we're just tanking. No, like you went from contention to tank, and then now you're back to contention, and you added a top 4 talent in the middle of all that. It's just brilliant. Tim Connolly, I love Tim. I think Tim is going to go down as one of the better GMs in the NBA. You just look at his pedigree, just what he's done. It's just unexplainable. I'm going to split this. but he does deserve it a little bit on his own. Danny Ainge, I'm going to split it with Justin Zanuck. Justin Zanuck, to me, I heard he was negotiating Donovan Mitchell trade discussions. Everyone knows it was Danny Ainge, okay? Listen, Ainge just has a bone in his body that just fleeces everyone that comes in contact. By the way, this is the same Danny Ainge that tried to trade Jaylen Brown for Trae Young. So I mean, Danny Ainge is something else. Someone I don't think gets someone I don't think gets the credit he deserves is John Horst. I like him a lot. I think what he's built in Milwaukee is like, it's just unique. Going out and getting a good mixture of length, shooting, rebounding, rim protection. You draft, you get Giannis, you bring over Bud. Now, Horst made a huge mistake taking Jabari Walker over Joel Embiid. He could have had Embiid with the second. I think they had the second pick, and he drafted Jabari Walker, which I don't know how good. I know how good Walker was back then, but he's not Embiid, So that's one of the mistakes he made. But other than that, like, listen, he built a championship caliber team. Kobe Altman, obviously. I want to hear y'all's opinion on Daryl Morey. I like Daryl Morey. I like his willingness to go and get aggressive. I like aggressive general managers, right? But Daryl Morey, to me, like, he has, like, I don't know. Daryl Morey's just different. And then obviously Travis. Like, I'm a huge Travis fan. I hope we never get rid of Travis, which I know is probably not realistic, but I want Travis to stay the general manager for the rest of his career. Because to me, Travis should be like the RC Buford of the Spurs. When he don't want to be the GM no more, just move up and let Landry or someone else take that position. I don't want Travis to lead the organization. And then I would throw Sean Marks on that list because, like I said, I'm a fan of Sean Marks. I think, I like Sean Marks a lot. His personality is so unique, But anyways, and then obviously Kobe Altman and all those guys. So that's kind of like my group or my pool of guys. Some would put some would put Rob Pelinka on there. I've heard, and Rob Pelinka to me is a atrocious general manager. But go ahead. What's y'all opinion on Morey?
I mean, I don't know. I like it. I like him somewhat. His aggressiveness is good. I like his aggressiveness. I don't think I can put him at the top of the list like all those other guys. I just don't think I can put him there. But I like him. I think he's not like on the bottom half of the league as far as GMs, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's I don't know if
his main goal. You hear him. His main goal is like, we always gotta find ways to win the title. It's like, go ahead, Matt.
He's kind of like in my overrated pile, in a sense, because I mean he had 15 years.
Daryl's been a GM in Houston for over 20 years.
Okay, and they made how many finals appearances? 0, right? 3 conference finals appearances in 15 years.
Remember, he was rebuilt. They were rebuilding for a while until they traded for James Harden.
I would say at least from 2010-ish to 20 till he got fired or left, whatever it was. They were in contention for those 10 years, right? But whether it was the Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming team, whether it was the Dwight Howard and James Harden, the James Harden and Chris Paul, like he missed that. He could never get the ancillary pieces right. He could never get the role players right, ever. And to me, that was his biggest problem. Their role, same thing with Neil O'Shea in Portland, which he would have been on my list if he was still a GM, but he never got the right role players. He always got guys like just it's okay to get role players, but they have to be productive role players. Like, Daryl Morey struggles with that. He struggles with getting the right role players. He falls in love with players. Case in point, James Harden. He's just, to me, I think he's a little above average, but he gets a lot of credit for, I don't really know what, maybe the winning seasons in the regular season.
Now, Daryl Morey did come in and clean up the mess that Elton Brand left. Elton Brand.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I think Elton Brand. I mean, any new GM is going to make some bad decisions. I mean, the Tobias Harris contract. The Tobias Harris contract was bad. I'm not.
Al Horford. Don't forget about Al Horford. Al Horford is the reason. Elton's the reason why Al's making $27 million.
But keep in mind that year. Keep in mind, it was the Elton Brand year that they was a Kawhi shot away from getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, perhaps NBA Finals.
And guess what? He let Jimmy Butler leave.
Well, that had more to do with
Tobias Harris.
Well, I think that had more to do with Ben Simmons than it had to do with. I don't think he chose Tobias Harris over Jimmy. But I know that's what Jimmy Butler thinks, but I don't think that's what it was. It really had to do with Ben Simmons because him and Ben Simmons did not have a great relationship. Jimmy Butler and Ben Simmons didn't have a great relationship, and so I think that's more what it was, to create harmony in the locker room more so than it was a judgment of on-court talent. But Morey,
Brand is ridiculous.
If you want to talk about overrated, I think it's a perfect storm, right? Murray's kind of a little overrated and Doc is vastly overrated, and you got them two together in Philadelphia, and it's like,
yeah, is Doc even overrated anymore?
Yeah, Doc is terrible. Doc is terrible.
It's calamity,
Doc
it's bad. It's
Doc
bad.
is terrible.
And they look all. What is their record? 4-5. They look. I tried to watch them the other night. It's just it's a hard watch.
Yeah, and Harden's out for a month.
Harden's out.
I'm like, why do they got so many national games? I don't understand that. Maybe Embiid, but they do not play exciting. It's very boring to watch them play.
Yeah, they're about to hit a losing. They're about to hit a losing streak.
They may be more boring to watch than us, because at least we got Trae, who might pull up from 40. They're very boring to watch. Very, very boring. I'm not a big fan of Daryl Morey.
Elton Brand missed on the draft significantly. He could have had Tatum and Brown right in his hands. Instead, he chose Markelle Fultz and Ben Simmons.
I don't think he was there for that. Yes. I mean, I don't think he was. Yeah. He was there, but I don't think he was the decision maker. I think that was Colangelo.
No, he was in control. That whole trust the process crap. Was he?
I know he was in the front office. I don't know how significant.
He was the general manager. Now he's like some CEO or something, but he was the general manager.
Because I know for sure Colangelo made the trade. So I don't really know how impactful
and Danny
Brand's voice was.
Him. Danny Ainge fleeced him.
Danny Ainge, he's not overrated. Well, he's not overrated. He's just like
Ainge is a smart general. Any GM that's willing to let Kyrie Irving walk for nothing, and you get back what he traded Kemba. He traded for Kemba. To me, that was a bad trade. Okay, you gave up Rozier. I don't know what else you gave up, but
he gave up a lot. That was his problem. That's why he got fired in Boston. That was his problem. He
stepped down.
A couple of different problems. Oh, he was definitely forced. That was he was definitely forced. That was not something he willingly did.
You don't let Ainge. No, you don't force Ainge to.
Oh yeah,
when Ainge was the one that drafted your core.
He definitely. It was kind of those situations. Hey, Matt G, it was one of those situations you walk into the boss's office. I think it's time to go. I think it's time we might be, growing apart. You know what? I was ready to leave already. Thank you. I'm send me that last year severance check. I'm out the door, baby. Okay, it was one of those like they said with Steve Nash, a parting of the ways. Like
that's what they're gonna say when Nate gets fired. They're gonna say the Atlanta Hawks have mutually agreed to part ways with Nate McMillan after.
Hey, you're fired. Okay, yeah, I agree.
You guys think he gets another job after
Who?
Atlanta? Nate.
Nate?
I think he does.
Like I said,
think he does.
I think
too.
a poverty franchise gets him.
I think like a
Like, for instance,
Kings.
If he went to like
the Kings believe in Mike Brown too much.
if he went to Detroit, right? He would make them like a 41 win team, 42 win team. Because he does do that. He gets you to 42, 43 wins. He just don't do anything past that.
In the most painful way, where you have to lose 6 games in a row and then you win 7 games. It's like Nate. I don't know who hires Nate after like Nate is like so recycled.
I think he's a good coach to get for a team that is really young and wants to take the first step. I'll take
Brett Brown over Nate McMillan.
I don't know if I'll go that far. I don't know. That might be a little much.
No. I would take Brett Brown.
That Boston accent. I couldn't.
This time of year represents. Trae is just such a.
Remember, that's where Lloyd Pierce came from. So hey,
No, Lloyd. Don't. Hey, I like Brett.
Although actually, I think Lloyd. I don't like Lloyd as a coach, but I think he's going to get another opportunity because I think he sells a good game. I think he won a couple games this past year in Indiana, or just a couple weeks ago in Indiana without Rick Carlisle, and they said Carlisle's looking for a seat upstairs in our front office anyway. So I think Pierce can slide right on in there.
Indiana's gonna have a 22-win season for the next 6 years, and then I'm like, Lloyd, we're sorry, but we have to move. If Rick, I can see an older coach like Rick going upstairs. That's what Nate needs to do. They need to give Nate some advisor role in the front office where they can get him out of the coaching seat and like something like that. But if Rick is looking to move upstairs, they're going to hire Lloyd Pierce. But I would not hire Lloyd Pierce anywhere.
Yeah,
anywhere.
Anywhere. And what's so crazy is Nate. I said this the other day. Hold on, I said this the other day. I don't know, Matt G, how you feel about this, but I said the other day, Nate is the high-end version of Lloyd Pierce. He's like the I don't know. I'm trying to compare. He's the Target to Walmart, or he's the he's the Craft and Barrel to Haverty's. Like he's the Abercrombie and Finch to Hollister. He's like the next thing up, but it's of the same tree.
I'm not even sure if he is, to be honest. I don't know. I think if we keep Lloyd that year, I don't know if we make the conference finals, but I still think we do better than. It's not like Nate made us go that far.
If we keep Lloyd, we don't make the playoffs. So we keep Lloyd, we have another lottery pick in the lottery.
I don't know about that.
I'm not high on Lloyd at all. I don't hope the man will get another job. I just wouldn't hire him. Like he wouldn't even be on my interview list. He wouldn't even be on my interview list. Like I could create a pool of 50 coaches to interview, and he wouldn't be nowhere near on that list.
I think I do slightly disagree with we would have made the playoffs only because I think the team had tuned Lloyd out. I don't think they were.
That is true. I think it was just a new voice.
It could have been anybody, right? It could have been Chris Gent. It could have been Malvin Hunt. It could have been anybody, but it just happened to be
I think we miss Hunt on the bench a little bit.
I was going to say that. Yeah,
I'm a Gent supporter. I like.
He might come back, right? He might come back.
Nate.
I know the players loved him, so.
Chris Gent was one of the if I was running the franchise, he'd be a guy I would interview to hire as my head coach. But listen, I think you have to me, again, if my coaching search started today and I didn't want to create a big pool of coaches because I wanted to stay, I didn't want to, take too long with it. I'm gonna have Jaron Collins on that list. I'm gonna have Kenny Atkinson on that
Number
list.
one.
I'm gonna have Quinn Snyder, and I'm a huge fan of Chris Quinn. I like Kevin Young. So like, those type of play. Sweeney, I question hiring defensive-minded coaches. Sweeney is a very good defensive coach, but I don't think his offense would be too good. We would definitely be top 5 in defense, but it's just we would be the 22nd team on offense, and that's shocking. We have Trae and Murray, or our offense would be very stale. But I'm a huge fan of, again, Kevin Young. I'm a huge fan of Chris Quinn. I love Chris. Dave Yoger. I think Sam Cassell could give a team a nice
I
spark.
like Sam Cassell.
But again, my 3 guys who I would hire right now as my head coach: Jaron Collins, Quinn Snyder, and Kenny Atkinson. I would hire those 3 guys right now. If during the offseason, I would give a lot more consideration to a guy like a Chris Quinn or a Kevin Young.
I like Chris Quinn a lot. The only thing that would give me a little hesitation is Miami just plays so slow. I would just want to hear his perspective on increasing the tempo and playing with more pace. I don't know if it's because of the roster they have, but they're always in the bottom of the league in pace, and I want to play at a faster pace.
Yeah, but I think a good thing to realize is every coach always has is different type system when they are coaching. So again, Chris Quinn, I'm a huge fan of. Kevin Young, he's a name that, listen, he's a guy that I think you put him with the right team. Kevin Young, I think he can be a really good coach. I know that you all are not really familiar with him, but I've watched and done a lot of homework on him. I like him. Jaron Collins, when I did my homework on Jaron Collins, I was blown away.
So I'm not too familiar with Collins. Where is he from?
So Matt, you can give the background.
Okay, so he's the top assistant in New Orleans right now. Before that, he was the defensive coordinator and second to lead assistant for Golden State the last 5 years. Before that, a Stanford guy, so obviously very bright. Played in the league for 10 years. Is credited. What I like is he's credited for making simple game plan, simple defensive assignments look more complex. So, and he can relate to players how to take something complex and make it simple. So, I really like that. He's already he said he's already an offensive guy, but he watched a lot of film and he uses predictable analytics. He was a college scout for the Clippers. So he scouted for 3 years with the Clippers with Jerry West. So he knows kind of how to build a team, right? Put it in scouting reports. And he also obviously knows coaching as well. So the biggest thing about him, if you read about him, is how much of a strategist he is, how good of a thinker he is, and how he can balance being a high-level thinker with being direct and straightforward with people. And so that's really what I think we need in Atlanta. We need a coach that's a high-level thinker, a high-level strategist, but also somebody that can sit Trae and John down and tell them, hey, look, you playing like trash. This this is how you get better. This is how you improve. This is how you incorporate the rest of your teammates into your game to make both easier. So, but yeah, he's I think a star and somebody that I know the team is high on.
Yeah. And like I said, if it's off season time, I want to bring in Chris Quinn. I want to bring in Kevin Young to be interviewed. Sweeney's a guy. Again, I question his offense. I question his offensive mind. But he just really high level player. I want a young coach that.
Oh, and he's 42, by the way.
Yeah, I want to.
Where did you say he is now, Jaron?
In New Orleans, he's the lead assistant in New Orleans.
So
we couldn't even hire him right now.
We could.
Oh yeah, I think
we could.
Hey, after that Pelicans game is over on Saturday night, don't even get on that plane. Minnesota did that with Chris Finch last year, the year before last. Remember they hired him middle of the season, gave him a 5-year contract.
I just looked him up. He's 6'11". I see.
Yeah. It was the center. Mm-hmm.
Hey, he's gonna be towering over Trae like, hey, bro, hey, don't shoot no more threes. Trae like, I'm sorry. Hey, but no, I listen. I'm a huge fan of Jaron. I think he's a great guy. Can be a great coach. But yeah. So.
Oh, I wanted to ask you, analyst. Do you know about Johnny Bryant? Have you heard of him?
Yeah, I was gonna bring him up.
I keep hearing his name, so I have a lot of questions.
I'm told Tibbs is gonna, when Tibbs gets fired, the keys is being handed to Johnny Bryant. Man, we're already at 3 hours.
You guys talking about Johnny O'Brien? Who was the guy you were just talking about? Johnny.
His name is Johnny Bryant. I had never heard of him until today. I was talking to some people and they brought him up, and I'm like, he's a star. He's a rising star, and I'm like, I've never heard of him before.
Yeah,
but apparently he's the lead assistant in with the Knicks, New York. And they kind of grooming him to take over for
Tibbs. He's good. You're going to be. You're not going to be an instant click right away, right? He's going to come in and you're going to have some in it. You're going to have some games where he's going to show us in it. Like, I like Johnny Bryant. I still have a lot of questions about him though. I've heard his name since last year, when the Knicks were rumored to get rid of him last year, but I don't. If I had, I wouldn't pull the trigger on Johnny Bryant. It's just he's young, but
36.
I don't feel like he would command the locker room, and that's what you told me about a guy I like, Nate Tibbetts. I'm a huge fan of Nate Tibbetts, but you said that there's questions about him commanding the locker room.
Yeah.
Now,
kind of nice, too nice.
Yeah, a college coach I like. I really like him. I've met him in person, many conversations with him. Nate Oates. He's the coach in Alabama. He's one of those guys that he puts up with no BS, is do what I say or you're on the bench. And in college, to me, you have a lot more ego in college, and he contains that. Now, is he the best X and O guy? Probably not, but he can put together the culture is gonna be the culture is gonna be similar to honestly, the culture is gonna be very similar to Popovich, minus the basketball intelligence. I'm not saying he's not intelligent at basketball. That's just not his strong. That's not his strong suit.
A college coach that, I mean, obviously Jay Wright is the dream, right? But
I like Tony Bennett.
somebody.
Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Keep going up.
Matt G, somebody that I do know that Travis likes a lot. He is a college coach, but what's the difference is he coached in the NBA for 2 different teams. Arkansas, Eric Musselman. He is the complete 180 of Nate McMillan. He is super high energy, like 5 Red Bulls in an hour type of a dude, but he's also incredibly smart. And they do a lot of he rotates his systems offensively and defensively based on the talent that he has. So and he was with Las Vegas. They made it to I think 2 Elite Eights and 1 Final Four with the Martin twins that was on Charlotte. One is on Miami now.
Who's this?
Eric Musselman.
Oh, I love Musselman. I
Arkansas.
love Musselman.
Yeah, and like I said, he coached in the NBA. Now this was in the early 2000s. Yeah, he coached for Golden State.
Head coach?
And the Kings, right?
Head coach for the Kings, yeah. Now, keep in mind, his records wasn't too hot, but he was like 31, 32 when he got those jobs. And so I do know in Golden State, Travis was one of his assistant coaches in Golden State.
Travis is a bright
man. Yeah, Eric Musselman, he's intense, very smart. But like I said, they do different things. So 1 year, they might be half court because of the talent. 1 year, they might be up and down, fast break, fastest pace in the nation. The next year, they may play through the post. The next year, they may shoot a bunch of threes. He adapts the system to the players that he gets. And so, yeah, I really like Eric Musselman. I think if you're going to go to college route, I would want somebody who's coached in the NBA before, because it's not a steep learning curve, and they know what they're talking about, in film study. They know how to present things to players where they understand it, and as opposed to a college coach. That was John Beilein's problem with the Cavaliers. He was running it like he's still in college. Like, these dudes don't have scholarships. You can't talk to them any type of way. You need to present it in a more balanced, nuanced way than just do this way, do that way, do it like that. You can't do that.
So I'm a fan of I think that's how you pronounce his name. Mick Cronin. He coaches with UCLA. I think with him, I'm a big interview guy, and when I do my homework, I'm looking at your practices, your schemes, I'm looking at the games, I'm looking at you on the sidelines, I'm doing a lot of this stuff. And I'm looking at your background. I'm impressed with Mick. It's just with him, I think the thing with him is I don't feel he would be not adaptive. Like, he would. I wouldn't hire him, but I would give him an interview. I'll put it that way. He's not a college coach, but what do you all think of Kenny Smith? Now, I've watched some of his film breakdowns on TNT, and he makes a lot of sense. He's 58.
Matt G.
Besides
his knee problems.
I think he's a funny guy. I mean, I don't know if he would work as a coach. I think. I mean, sure, I wouldn't mind, bringing him in for an interview, but I think there's a lot better options out there, especially the guys you guys have mentioned.
He'd be missing games. He'd be missing games with he'd be missing games. I remember when he walked off. He'd be missing games. It'd be his assistant coaches coaching the game, where Trae trying to run the game. Like, where's Kenny? And then say Kenny went home. his knees got tired or something like that. But there's a lot of like I know Damon and like Gerald, they say they don't want college coaches, but I think the right college coach, college is always a gamble. It's more like if you hire a college coach in the NFL, it's bound to work better than if you hire a college coach in the NBA. But
because a lot of different things. One, the creativity, you have more freedom, you have more roster spots, so it's a little bit.
And I'm looking at a ranked college coach list, and my guy Nate Oates is on here at 10.
Matt G, if you get a moment, maybe tonight or tomorrow, if you go look, type it on YouTube. I forgot what's under. I think if you just type in Eric Musselman practice or Eric Musselman game, something like that, and it'll pop up. And like that type of energy, that's what we need. Like
I think I remember him from the tournament.
Yeah, like that guy's on fire all the time, but he's also a thinker. So
as long as he knows the X's and O's a little better, that's what you want.
Yeah. Like that's his hallmark is X's and O's. And if I think I want to say it's on a Wikipedia, but if you look on one of those websites, like it talks about Jeff Van Gundy, talks about his offensive system and how creative it is, how brilliant of a thinker he is. And so given the background that he has in the NBA with Travis, and I think that's what I was telling analysts the other day. The next coach, let's be honest. I mean, most GMs only get 2 coaching hires, right? So I don't really count this Nate McMillan thing because he kind of filled in a gap. But the next coach has to be somebody that sees the game the same way that Travis sees the game. With small ball, multiple guys pushing it up the court. You shoot a lot of threes. You play a lot in the fast break. What about, I was just thinking of that, just popped in my head. What do you guys think about Becky Hammon? Coming off of a WNBA championship. And if you watch her, most people don't watch the WNBA, but even if you go on YouTube and you type in Becky Hammon, right, her offensive system, it's very fast paced, very up and down, but they run a lot of sets at that fast paced speed. So it's very intriguing if you watch her.
I personally I like her as a coach. I'm not sure. I think I like some of the other options a little better, but I still think she's a good coach. I think she definitely would deserve an interview. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be the one interviewing, so I wouldn't be able to tell. But I think she's worthy.
She was a finalist.
100%.
She was a finalist in Portland.
Yeah.
Now,
what would be your trepidation? Hold on. What would be your trepidation with her? What would be your roadblock?
Well, for me at least, I'm not, as far as all the coaches you guys mentioned, I'd have to do a lot more research on all of them. I obviously don't know a whole bunch about them, especially, obviously I don't watch the NBA, WNBA a ton, but I've heard good things about her. I've heard good things about all of them. I'd have to do more research on them, and I'd prefer someone that has a little more experience in the NBA. But obviously, the one guy you guys mentioned, he's been an assistant, so I think it would just be understanding, maybe doing a little more research on all of them. But obviously, the front office guys in the front office, they know a lot more about these people. So I trust that they'd make the right decision.
You hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. Becky, I like her X's and O's wise. My roadblock is her commanding the locker room. Let's be real. She's a woman, and she's in the locker room with 15 other men. And if we're being real, we have to realize that you got this 5-foot woman walking in the locker room, yelling and cussing you out and telling you to sit harder screens. Your instant reaction, and again, let's be real, your instant reaction is, I'm not listening to you, But I think if she can prove to me in the interview process that she can command a locker room, she's respectable. To me, she's respectable. But to the players, if she shows me she can command a locker room and she's respectable by men, then I would give her a strong consideration. I like her basketball mind.
10 years under Pop, or was it 7 years under Pop? Something like that. 7 or 10 years.
And like I said, I like her basketball mind. My biggest question is, all right, with women, that's different. With men, can you control, contain, and command a locker room?
I think also that for Becky in particular, that would be a lot of what my assistant coaches do, what the assistant coaches are responsible for. So maybe I have to go get a enforcer type assistant coach who's going to, like Malvin Hunt or somebody like that, who's going to hold the guys accountable and get their
what I don't want with something like that is I don't want a school administrative staff. So what I mean by that is I don't want, because most principals are women. I don't want a principal that's not like or a coach that's not like, put their foot down, but then you have a whole bunch of administrators walking around. It can make the locker room feel uncomfortable. Like, all right, this is like the military where everyone's yelling at us because she's not able to get her point across, and a whole system coaching staff is like, you better listen to her or you're not playing. It's like, it can be a real intense environment. But like I said, if she can prove that she can command the locker room and keep the locker room, I would hire her. Because I think her basketball mind within itself is like, it's out of this world. But I think this is the reason why she didn't get hired in Portland and Billups did, is at the end of the day, it came down to, will you keep, command, and control the locker room? And if the answer is no, I can't hire you.
I think they didn't want to take that chance. And I think
not with Dame.
Someone's eventually gonna take a chance, I think. I'm not sure if it's gonna be in Atlanta or not, but I think obviously what I've heard, obviously from what you guys have said, she's obviously very bright. It's just about obviously what an analyst said, if she can control the locker room. But if she can, I think she obviously, I mean, I would take her over Nate right now, even if she can't, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think what impressed me about her was, I mean, obviously the X's and O's stuff is next level. If you look at just her offense on YouTube, even for something simple like that, very, very next level compared to what we do. But even still, more than that, it was the fact that, well, two things. One, she went into a veteran-led team who couldn't get over the hump. I know it's women, I know it's the WNBA, but it's still it's still strategy involved. So she was able to come in, take over a veteran-led team who couldn't get over the hump. Second round exit every year, first round exit every year. And she was able to come in and take that team and win a championship in the first season. I don't care if you're coaching church league. That's still impressive in and of itself. But past that, she took two bench players and made them into stars. Asia Wilson and I forget the power forward lady's name, but she took two bench players and made them stars, or they played like stars this year. And one of them won the league MVP. So it's like that type of stuff, that nuanced stuff is like, okay, she could probably tinker with the team and you don't have to change it as much. Like you don't have to do a whole roster change to fit a system. She can kind of adapt and fit what's going on in the room. The locker room piece, I'm not really too worried about that because, well, like I said, one, that's what assistants are for to me. And then two, I think, let's be honest, I don't think Nate has full command of that locker room. But even
He
still,
doesn't, but I think to a certain point you got to be real and you got to realize, like, and I hate to sound this way, but like, let's be real. If I'm the coach and I lose the locker room, right? That's a lot different than if you have a woman there and they cannot control a locker room full of men. Like
but don't you think
those
it's a
are
team? I think it's team by team basis. So, like
now,
the Hawks, I'm not really worried about. Now, if this is the Lakers, okay,
if this is Brooklyn, I would be more worried about it.
The Knicks,
so Travis
with a whole
is not
bunch of
gonna
volatile personalities, I would be concerned about that. But our team, we're still young and malleable. Like I wouldn't worry about that too much.
I like her offense. I just watched a little bit of it. They're very fast from the looks of it. They run a lot of point guard off ball, and a lot of having small forward, power forward handle the ball, and make plays for the guards. Again, I love Becky. I thought she should have gotten a job. I thought she was going to get the job in Portland. I thought she was going to get it in Indiana.
I thought she was going to get it in Indiana.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, I think, listen, if you're telling me pick Becky or Jaren Collins, I'm gonna pick Jaren Collins.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course.
I'm gonna pick.
I'm gonna say, of course, but yeah, Jaren Collins. Yeah,
I'm gonna pick Atkinson. I'm gonna pick Quinn Snyder. But Becky is a bright mind, and I think you make her the head coach. Listen, I think the Hawks. I think you're in championship contention, but if what you're saying is true, man, you're gonna have to have a strong. You're gonna have to get. You got to hire some military personnel on that. Well,
I mean, for like I said, I think it's
remember, Matt.
Team, right?
It's a woman coaching men in the NBA.
I don't know. I think
if men are losing locker rooms any day now in the NBA,
but I think they're losing locker rooms. It has to do with one, results. Two, it has to do with men. We all are men. Just by nature, we're more aggressive, and we're
more masculine.
We take things. We look at things a certain way. We approach things a certain way. We don't really kind of attune our message to the person we're talking to. We're just going to hit them full stop, and take it as it is, take it how you like it, but this is the message. Where but she might come in and meet it with a little bit more nuance, 1, and then 2, I think especially with DeJounte Murray here. Now, if this was last year, I'd be like, but he seems to have like lesser extent John, but DeJounte seems to be like the leader of the locker room. Like, what I'm saying? He's going to go up to Trae. He's going to go up to DeJounte. Not DeJounte, DeAndre. He's going to go up to these guys and be like, hey, look, listen, like, sit down and listen, be quiet. So now that we have that piece there, I still wouldn't even think last year Trae or John, be like, F her off because she's a woman, or roll her eyes because it's a woman leading a film study. I don't think they're that way anyway, but especially with somebody like Murray, I think he will hold them accountable and would have them paying full attention, full respect.
My worry would be, obviously you're going to, in a season, you're going to have times where, you go on a losing streak, it gets bad, it gets ugly. That's where my worry would come in, how the guys would handle it. It depends how they would handle it. If they were able to, because like obviously you're going to lose locker room. Like Nate's, I'm not sure where Nate's at right now with the locker room, but if you're in a losing streak, it's an adversity hits. If they can stick together and not, go on where complain, say she's a woman, whatever, stuff like that. I think they'd be fine. But you can't really, you can say, oh, everything's great when you're winning. It's when you're losing is when, in my opinion, you see if you're really if you're really a team.
That's true. That's true. And like what makes her unique, I think a lot of it is because she's with Pop. She was with Pop for 8 years. So in the same now, she's not like Udoka. She's not gonna be cussing them out. You know what I'm saying? Coming at them full speed. But I do think she does. She has a backbone. You know, I wouldn't be really worried about whether she could command a room or not. It would be more so of can she convince them that her way is the right way because she won not at the NBA level. So that would be my concern. It wouldn't be personality wise. It would be like, are they going to listen to her from a basketball perspective? Because she did win a championship, but it wasn't at the NBA level. So that would be my concern. Like I said, I think the locker room, the way that it's comprised, I'm only talking about the Hawks. I think they can handle her, and I think she'll actually be successful because I don't think the team is made up of like if this was Philadelphia, I'd be like, oh no, it's not going. And Montrezl Harrell, PJ Tucker, no, it's not going.
I think the team is young enough and has enough stability for it to work. But obviously, we're not in the locker room, so we don't 100% know. But
right. Like, what's the biggest complaint people have about the team? Like, it's too finesse, it's too soft, right? So I don't think now Murray just changed that a little bit, but I don't think it's because of that personality. I think they would be more acceptable to her than another locker room would be. Like if she went to Charlotte, not happening, right? So, but because Trae is rather, or I don't know him personally, but it appears he's rather more. I don't want to use the word soft, but
he's just younger generation. How
Yeah, so he's more open. So I think a lot of the guys, John Collins, super nice, super, bubbly. So I think it would work more with us than another team.
I think it's just getting if the players buy in, then I think it would work for sure.
Yeah, I'm a fan of. Now, like I said, Jaren Collins is obviously first choice, but I think it would depend on his coaching staff too, because I already know I already know she can do it under the bright lights. So with him, obviously he has a great reputation, and Draymond and Steph and all them, swear by him. But at the same time, he's never done it under pressure, right? So as the man, so for him, it would be like, well, what's his coaching staff look like? Who's his assistants? Who's going to help him implement his theory and his strategy? But with her, she's actually done it before. So it's just changing, men and women to men. So, but
yeah.
I think Anno's cut out.
Yeah. I think he said it's coming back. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, but when you get a chance, look, Musselman, Eric Musselman, and I think YouTube got like a 5-minute video thing on her offense that she ran this past year with Las Vegas. So you look at that and you imagine our players in that type of a system. Yeah. That's exactly what I think all of us are asking for.
Yeah. Man, we've been up here for almost 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours. Hey, listen, I don't do that repost stuff, so I don't really care how long we go. But listen, I think we're a very, very, very good trio up here. The conversation kind of never stops in a way. So
especially when we're talking about Nate.
Yeah. Nate Nate's a conversation every stream because he's ridiculous every game. But Rashad came in here and explained why he thinks we should trade Trae Young, which I am still not on board with. I don't think those points were valid to blame on Trae. But hey, it is what it is. But listen, I like a lot of the coaches that we discussed. Tomorrow's we don't play tomorrow. We may, I don't know. I'll have to talk to I'll have to see what you guys want to do tomorrow. And then we play Saturday. And then we have, so it's gonna be tough. But thankfully we'll be playing a hardenless Sixers back-to-back games. Which we
do we play the Sixers on national television, or is that the Bucks?
I think it's the Sixers. I think it's NBA TV.
It was definitely one of them.
Let's see. We play the Sixers on NBA TV. So
when's our first TNT or ESPN game?
I think it's further down in November.
No, we play on ESPN against the Celtics on the 16th. That's actually at home. And then our first TNT game.
Not for a while.
I think it's in December, right?
I don't see.
Yeah, I don't see it.
I think a lot of our national games are TNT. I mean, are NBA TV, unfortunately.
So we got a few on ESPN. We're on ESPN for Boston. We're on ESPN for New York on the 7th. In New York, Milwaukee, Dallas. TNT, our first TNT game is not until February 7th against the Pelicans. And then our next TNT game after that is again. Why would the NBA do I don't understand.
I think because we got off to a
guess who we're playing?
Bad start.
Shaky start.
Guess who we're playing?
I think they put a lot of our second half, our national games in the second half, so they're like, we're gonna see if this gonna work.
But guess who we're playing on? We only have 2 TNT games, but guess who we're playing on our last TNT game?
I thought it was 5.
No, it's 2.
Don't we play on MLK Day?
No. We played our last TNT games against the Wizards. Why would you put that game on national television? It's probably going to be a blowout. That's towards the end of the season anyway. So the Wizards are going to be at the bottom of the conference, and they're going to be terrible. So that was.
I do think our national games can elevate if we play well.
But yeah, they can change it.
Yeah, they can always be changed. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no. We do play on TNT against the Heat on the 16th.
MLK Day,
yeah.
We always play on TNT then. So
us in Memphis.
Huh?
No, I said Atlanta and Memphis. I think going to play on TNT every year.
Yeah,
not each other, but on the national games.
Oh, okay, yeah. But I guarantee the Mavericks probably have about 40 national television games.
Yeah, I think we got a little low this year, but
let's look at the Mavericks. Let's see how many they have, and then I'm gonna hop off here because
at least we're not the Magic. I don't think the Magic got any.
The Magic.
I want to say
they got one, and then it got flexed out.
Look at this.
I think they got 22 games, right? 22 national games. Dallas 22.
Dallas
23?
has.
Warriors had 40 something.
7, 8, 9,
the Lakers got a lot too. I think the Lakers had 21,
15.
Which I don't know why. Somebody thought that was a good idea to put them on television.
The Mavericks have 19 national television games.
Yeah.
The Lakers, man, they always do the Lakers anytime if you turn on TNT or ESPN, you're gonna see the Lakers on there. You're gonna see Lakers down by 40, and there's just a waste of space. Just a waste of space. The Knicks, they're another team that don't deserve any national television games.
Didn't they get a Christmas game too?
Yes, they got a no. Wait,
I think maybe
I
not.
think they did.
Yes, they got a Christmas game against the Sixers.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Like,
I told you those are the two most boring teams. I don't know, like the Sixers.
And they didn't give us a Christmas Day game again. I feel bad for Trae. We don't have a. He won't get a chance to play Christmas. I think Phoenix plays again on Christmas. Phoenix, yeah, they play against Denver on Christmas. And then of course the sorry Lakers play on Christmas. There's so many teams you could put instead of these same teams every year. They play against Dallas. Dallas is going to beat them by 40. Like, it's not going to even be pretty. The Bucks deserve a lot of national television games. To me, they deserve to play on Christmas. But other than that, like, the rest of these teams don't deserve it. Milwaukee. Let's see who Milwaukee play. Milwaukee's probably playing Boston on Christmas like they do every year. So, but yeah, we went 3 hours and 35 minutes. That is amazing. And listen, I doubt people are going to rewatch this stream. I will. I'm the type of guy that rewatches long streams like that or put it in the background, but most people are like 10-minute video is too long, but listen, I thought we did pretty good on this video, on this live stream. I mean, but yeah, thank you all for coming up. It was fun all night, and hey, we're gonna do this a lot more often. Maybe one of these days we'll do it in the middle of the day. For some reason, it feels like you get a little bit more traffic during the middle of the day, a little bit, even though it's a little weird because most people at work or stuff like that. But yeah, so I know Matt on the top over here making the big bucks, and Matt G on the bottom is he's trying out for all the NBA teams, they're making the NBA team. But hey, whenever y'all want to do a show, just let me know, and I can hop on and get it going. But
sounds good. Appreciate it.
But yep. Thank you all for tuning in, and y'all have a good one.